end up leaning. You don't need a cape just to help someone win. Do something simple, do something true. Make a sandwich for a friend, hold the door for someone too. Facts still matter, it starts with you. Check on your neighbor, share what you can do. One small action turns into a wave. Do something today, be the change that you crave. Facts still matter, it starts with you. Facts still matter, it starts with you.
Good morning, everyone. Friday, February the 10th. Welcome to Free Speech Friday. We appreciate you being here. We know you got many choices to make every single day, and we are super grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you very much. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Don't forget, join our team. There is a gifting goal today. Please help us out there. Helps us remain relevant out in the FYP, stay on the FYP, and it helps you as well. We are still marching towards our 25K target for the Do Something Tour. Crossed $9,500 yesterday at Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo if you want to support the channel. Also, feel free to head on over to the link that's in the link tree that's in my bio. You'll find a link to the Discord there. That is sort of the hub. That is our hub. It's our little family. It's like our dining room table, so to speak. All kinds of resources available. There's a mental health channel. There's information about pets. There's a mutual aid channel, and it's just a great community. So please, and people take the opportunity to make me blush, which doesn't take much, but feel free to participate in our madness. Also, and then the last plug today will be for the Facts merch store. You can find it at Facts HQ or directly at factsstillmatter.site. That'd be SITE. Find all kinds of cool merchandise, especially as we approach protesting season. Big fan of human rights, traitor to the patriarchy, girl dad, all kinds of cool stuff over there. So head on over. We appreciate you being here, and welcome to the show. Thanks again. So I did not have Melania Trump on my bingo card. Did not have her statement yesterday on my bingo card. And the president has reacted for sure. His circle has reacted for sure. Before we get into that, I do have to call your attention. I am certainly not encouraging you to go watch the video that the president posted on Truth Social. In fact, I would caution you because it certainly requires viewer discretion. But I think we need to read it because what the president posted, I'm not even really sure how to address it. Well, I'll tell you this. It was a video of an attack on a woman in Florida who was beaten to death. And the video is stark. The video is horrible. You can't unsee it. So I'm not recommending that you go watch it. What we do here is report on the news. And because of everything that is happening, obviously the situation with his wife now, the situation in Iran with more lies, we've got statements from service members who were part of the attack in Kuwait, where the assistant manager to the assistant manager at Waffle House, Pete Kegsbeth, said a squirter got through. Okay. The president needs a distraction. And how amazing is it? I don't know how else to classify it, since we're day 112 of the federal government violating the law by not releasing everything connected to the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Melania Trump, of all people, puts the Epstein Files right back in the public debate. But first, the statement from the president. Excuse me.
An illegal alien criminal from Haiti who was released into our country by the worst president in history, crooked Joe Biden, and the radical Democrats in Congress, just beat an innocent woman to her passing with a hammer at a gas station in Florida. The video of her brutal slaying is one of the most vicious things you'll ever see.
I'll pause there for a second. Yes, no doubt. But our president decided
for these radical judges to stop impeding my administration's immigration policies and allow us to end this scam once and for all. To my fellow Republicans and, frankly, all common-sense Americans, never forget that Joe Biden and the Democrat Party turned the U.S. into a dumping ground, allowing tens of millions of criminals, lunatics, and the mentally insane from all over the world to pour into our country, totally unvetted and unchecked through our wide-open borders.
Pause there briefly. So the president stating tens of millions. By DHS's own estimates, there's roughly between 11 and 14 undocumented immigrants in the country as a whole. That goes back to numerous administrations. So that's the number that they estimate. So once again, the president using True Social, of all things, the irony of the name, to lie to the American public. But anyway.
As I've said all along, if you import the third world, you become the third world, and that is what happened over 4 years of Democrat control. We are rapidly trying to reverse this decline through deportations, but if the Democrats are even given another chance at power, they will immediately reopen the border and allow America to once again be a safe haven for criminals. Please say a prayer for this innocent woman's family. We will ensure quick and severe justice is served in this case. I don't recommend you watch this tape because it's so terrible, but I felt I had an obligation to put it up so that people can see what Democrats are protecting and wanting to come into our country. Even now, after all we've been through, again, viewer discretion advised, not for children, President DJT.
Couple things to point out. I've talked about this before from a branding and a messaging strategy when he uses all caps. So I'm just going to read the all caps in this statement for you. Worst, stop, end this scam once and for all, never forget, millions of criminals, lunatics, and the mentally insane, open borders, reopen the border, the Democrats will reopen the border, justice. It's intentional, right? So they are so desperate. This is crisis spin. I don't know what you want to call it. But this is they know they're in trouble from a messaging perspective as they're watching their polling numbers drop, as they're watching their support within their own community drop. Case in point. So that's bad enough, right? When the president does that. But we're going to talk about how he responded to what Melania said in just a moment. But I want to read this because this one to me tells you everything you need. Well, two things. First, we went through the exercise that is, I provided the information as to who Viktor Orban is, right? Full-on authoritarian, prepared to cheat, do whatever is necessary to hold power, change the rules of elections. It's literally the model that the Trump administration wants. Before I read that, let me just kind of reiterate what who he is. So here you go. This is Viktor Orban. He's widely criticized for weakening democratic institutions in Hungary. He changed the constitution and election rules in ways that critics say favor his party. He expanded control over courts and judicial appointments. He reduced checks and balances. The government allies have acquired many major media outlets. Independent journalists report pressure and reduced access. Critics say this creates pro-government and media ecosystems. Orban is one of Europe's strongest opponents of immigration, built border fences during the 2015 migrant crisis, framed migration as a threat to national identity and security, promoted Christian Europe. Supporters see this as protecting sovereignty. Critics call it xenophobic. He passed laws restricting LGBTQ plus content in schools and media, opposed same-sex adoption and broader LGBTQ rights, maintains relatively warm relations with Russia even after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, frequently clashes with the EU over sanctions, rule of law, and funding. Critics say Orban's government steers public money to allies and loyal business figures. The EU has investigated concerns over misuse of funds. That guy, okay, who's been invited to Mar-a-Lago, who's been invited to the White House, who's been invited to Bedminster, this is what the president has to say about him.
Highly respected Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, is a truly strong and powerful leader with a proven track record of delivering phenomenal results. He fights tirelessly for and loves his great country and people just like I do for the United States. Viktor works hard to protect Hungary, grow the economy, create jobs, promote trade, stop illegal immigration, and ensure law and order. Relations between Hungary and the U.S. have reached new heights of cooperation and spectacular achievement under my administration, thanks largely to Mr. Orban. I look forward to continuing working closely with him so that both of our countries can further advance this tremendous path to success and cooperation. I was proud to endorse Victor for re-election in 2022, and I'm honored to do so again. Election day is Sunday. Hungary, get out and vote for Victor Orban. He's a true friend, fighter, and winner, and has my complete and total endorsement for re-election as Prime Minister of Hungary. Victor Orban will never let the great people of Hungary down. I am with him all the way. President DJT.
Our president endorsing a full-on autocrat, a guy that literally, it's the model. Think of the things that he's gone after. He's gone after democratic backsliding, media control and press freedom, anti-immigration policies, LGBTQ and plus and social policies, DEI, relationship with Russia. Hold on a second. I love you. Be safe, be kind, be gentle. Have a good day. Sorry. Yeah, corruption, patronage, allegations, relationship with Russia and EU tensions. So that guy, I mean, like, it's the model, right? It's the fucking model, and our president is praising him. So that was a post on Truth Social. But the one that really stood out to me, the one that has really got people's attention, aside from we're gonna go through Melania's speech. I'm gonna play it for you. I've got a couple of follow-up statements, and again, it's the 112th day that the federal government is denying the victims' voices and the survivors' voices. But this is the one that really got me. Keep in mind, when I read you this, these people, the people that I'm about to list off, are the ones that helped put the White House, or put Trump in the White House. Okay? Okay, here we go.
I know why. Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years. Especially by the fact that I think it's wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon, because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it, and everyone else knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes. They never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs and troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts. But nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump. And not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question. Or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not. And will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, as he should have, for his horrendous attack on the families of Sandy Hook's shooting victims, ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers, and they will always be losers. Now, fake news CNN, the failing New York Times, and all the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They're not MAGA. They're losers, just trying to latch on to MAGA. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want to. But when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty. Just like Marjorie Trader Brown, because brown turns green, or green turns brown. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about doing right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength and not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is about making America great again. And these people have no idea how to do that. But I do. Because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. President DJT.
So, let's unpack all of that. You need to wave, you need to rattle the keys or wave the gold watch in front of your base. because of how bad things are, right? How bad things are going in Iran, how bad things are going with the economy, how bad things are going with the Epstein files, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you hope you can go back to your standard, attacking the press, calling out the weak and radical left, and undocumented immigrants and violent crime. If I were, well, as someone who's, run the media streets, this is spin. They are desperate and they do not know where to go. They don't have support anywhere. It's always been a safe spot for them to land with people like Tucker. Although Tucker's been 86-47 exactly. Tucker's been, a critic. I would say that he's been pretty consistent. Candace Owens was not. Alex Jones literally helped the president get elected. I mean, that's a big one. He really was influential in that voice. So I've got a little bit of a kind of a history of Alex Jones that I'd like to kind of read with you. Some of the things that he has said. I don't want to platform Alex Jones, but the response to that statement that I just read from people in the circle are just like, bro, these people help get you elected. Alex Jones, this is from Ann Toons on X. Alex Jones devoted his life to the cause. He fought for this guy for 10 years. Trump is a fucking traitor. Wow. Just in, Trump calls Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owen, and Megyn Kelly low IQ, stupid people. Nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs and troublemakers. That's interesting. Alex Jones bled for that motherfucker. This is from Milo. Alex Jones bled for that motherfucker, lost his company, lost everything. What a sack of shit. Again, Ann Toons. Alex Jones goes off on Trump. Quote from Alex Jones, I will oppose the new Trump that is a demonic puppet of the Israeli lobby and satanic interests. Trump isn't loyal to America. Trump, you got bigger problems to deal with. Your own life just came out. Your own wife just came out against you. From Cernovich, Alex Jones was Trump's biggest supporter by far, back when InfoWars was bigger than all of cable and network news combined. This was in 2015, before the censorship crackdown, which Trump did not fight. Trump let everyone get banned and didn't do anything to fight back. Trump, that's okay. This is from Kagaya's Top Gal. Again, just a compilation of comments from the post that I read to you. Alex Jones is calling for Trump to be impeached. That's how bad things are. From Chris Brunette, if your grandpa wrote a wall of text like this on Facebook, you would roll your eyes and think he was senile. I hate being governed by old people who are dumb. From Grimaldus, damn, is Israel really started blackmailing Trump again after the ceasefire, huh? Okay, cool, good to know. From Stu Peters, the quote from Melania, I was never friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He did not introduce me to Donald Trump. We only overlapped in the same New York, Palm Beach social circles. Then how do you explain Epstein friend and associate Paolo Zampoli sponsoring your immigration to the U.S.? We're going to get into all that in just a minute. Let's see, is there another one here? I think that's it. So the people that were influential, the people, the platforms, in particular Tucker. I mean, Tucker was a massive defender. Don't forget, Tucker got fired from Fox because of the things that he said about Trump supporters. He called them stupid and moronic and fools. And Matt Walsh, podcaster, right-wing pundit, has done the same. The sycophantic tendencies. So all these people, right? All these people that were in his circle that helped him get elected twice in many cases. Now, because they've been critical of his change in policy, specifically as it relates to the war in Iran, again, loyalty is a one-way street. There's no denying it. There's nothing other than himself to blame. So let's get into the statement from Melania, because I didn't see this coming. And the spin that's happening in the White House right now is wild. So I'm just going to play it for you. I think it's worthwhile just to listen to the entire thing. I debated as to whether or not I would just read it to you, but I think I would just rather play it in her own words. Here you go.
The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania. The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings. Numerous fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years now. Be cautious about what you believe. These images and stories are completely false. I'm not a witness or a named witness in connection with any of Epstein's crimes. My name has never appeared in court documents, depositions, victim statements, or FBI interviews surrounding the Epstein matter. I have never had any knowledge of Epstein abuse of his victims. I was never involved in any capacity. I was not a participant, was never on Epstein's plane, and never visited his private island. I have never been legally accused or convinced of a crime in connection with Epstein's sex trafficking, abuse of minors, and other repulsive behavior. The false smears about me from mean-spirited and politically motivated individuals and entities looking to cause damage to my good name, to gain financially and climb politically, must stop. My attorneys and I have fought these unfounded and baseless lies with success and will continue to maintain my sound reputation without hesitation. To date, several individuals and companies have been legally obligated to publicly apologize and retract their lies about me, such as Daily Beast, James Carville, and HarperCollins, UK. Now is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not alone. Several prominent male executives resigned from their powerful positions after this matter became widely politicized. Of course, this doesn't amount to guilt, but we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth. I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth. Thank you.
So much to unpack there. Initially when I was sort of listening to that, I'm thinking there's got to be something else that's coming down the pipe, right? And I don't know what that would look like. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I literally don't know what that would look like. Like how would that happen? If the Department of Justice under Todd Blanche has basically said we're not going to release everything else, so sure, maybe it's going to come out elsewhere. Maybe there's more reporting that they've gotten wind of, and then there was conversations in the White House or from the president that he did not know that she was going to make that statement. So a couple things that I think it's necessary that we unpack a little bit. One of the things that she said. Let me see if I can find this. Let me see. Where is it? There was a letter, an infamous letter, and she kind of alluded to an email. She alluded to it in the files that said, again, her claim was we weren't friends. We didn't have a relationship. So her attempt to try to say, yeah, but my email back to Ghislaine was just nothing to see here. We can't deny the fact that these photos exist. The claim that they're making is that they're just random, like nothing to see here. This obviously is Melania with Ghislaine Maxwell, and in the faces of survivors, we can only assume in this case, since they were redacted, are included as well. So we can't, obviously there is some relationship there, whether or not they're friends. I guess you can make that argument. Similarly, the claims that she did not know Donald. Or did not know Jeffrey, or they didn't introduce them. There's also that reporting about how there's a claim that the first time that Melania and Donald had sex was on the Lolita Express or one of Epstein's planes. So we've got that we have to unpack, claiming that she'd never been on any flights. So that was something that was produced in the initial investigation. The claims that Jeffrey Epstein told Michael Wolff. I've got some sound from Michael Wolff, who's probably the preeminent expert on this entire thing. But this email that she alluded to, right? It said, "Dear G," this is from Melania, dated October the 23rd, 2002. You can make up your own mind. I would ask you to be objective. So I'll listen to what I'm going to read to you. Actually, let me get the transcript first. Let me pull that up because I think that's the easiest way to kind of refer to it. Let's see. She talked about the email. And she said, "To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein." This is from the transcript. "I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. I'm not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania." Okay. Here's the problem, though. In the email, it says this, quote, "Dear G, how are you? Nice story about JE in New York Mag. You look great in that picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania." So again, in her statement, it said, "My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. Dear G, how are you? Nice story about J.E., Jeffrey, in New York Mag. You look great on the picture. I know you're busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania." I mean, we sort of have to draw our own conclusions from this a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know how you can say it was just a polite response, because obviously she's aware that Maxwell was traveling, because she alluded to it. I know you're very busy flying all over the world. If you weren't involved in her circle, if you weren't connected, if you weren't an insider, so to speak, how would you know that? I know you're busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in New York. Have a great time. The First Lady then signed it. Love, Melania. I'm going to play just a little clip. Harry Sisson did reporting on it, and just the way he compiled it, I kind of like the way that he discussed it. So I'm just going to play this for you. I think it kind of summarizes it very well, to be honest. So let me just play this for you guys. And you're going to, because he's referencing reporting done by Jackie Alamany, who is an MS Now reporter who got off the phone with the president just prior to this. Well, here you go. I'll just play this for you. Everybody keep tapping, please.
Trump is now saying that he did not know Melania Trump was going to speak about Epstein today, but other members of the White House are saying that he did. MS Now journalist Jacqueline Alamany reported earlier today, just got off a quick call with Trump, who said he didn't know anything about Melania Trump's statement prior to her on-camera appearance, but that he was in a meeting about the war and couldn't speak further. Quote, she didn't know him, he added before hanging up, referring to Epstein. But here's the thing. She heard that directly from Donald Trump's mouth on a phone call, but a spokesperson for Melania Trump told the New York Times that Donald Trump did know she was going to make that statement beforehand. So which one is it? Did Donald Trump know, or did he not know? I mean, these people sound guiltier by the day. Look, I don't know if the confusion is deliberate or they're just genuinely not on the same page, but the facts remain that Melania Trump did know Ghislaine Maxwell. She did know Epstein. We have emails of her saying, love Melania to Ghislaine. Whatever the point was or the goal of that press conference may be, this story is not going anywhere, no matter how much Donald Trump wants it to.
Thank you, Swishy Raiders. I think Harry's right. I mean, you can't run from the story. So at one turn, I guess we'll find out what Caroline has to say, because I'm sure she's going to be asked these questions. Caroline Levitt from New Hampshire. But he's right. You can't run from it. So you can't say you had no idea. How would the president of the United States, how would the president not know his wife is going to go into what used to be the East Room or wherever in the White House and deliver that speech? How? There's been rumors for a long time that they don't share the residence, that there is a separate lodging that's been created or whatever. Who the fuck knows? But how would it be possible that he didn't know? So then overnight, the president acted out like the man-child that he is. So we're then left with trying to put the pieces together. So it is the 112th day, and Melania is not going to let people forget. And Melania is now, in part of that statement, calling on Congress to bring survivors in to testify. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but let me see if I can find the sound from Todd Blanche again, because, let me start here by this statement that Caroline Levitt made just a couple days ago, because it's about to apply again, because she's going to go up onto the dais in the press room and say this.
Quick statistic here on energy that I found fascinating, and it's obviously true because I'm saying it up here. Red states with Republican legislatures currently enjoy lower average retail electricity prices than blue states with Democrat.
Just listen to this again.
Here on energy that I found fascinating, and it's obviously true because I'm saying it up here.
Wow, look at that. It's obviously true because I'm saying it up here. So expect some type of spin. So people within the White House saying the president knew. So where is the line? Right? And she's got this little smirk on her face, like I'm gaslighting you all. Okay. I'm going to play some sound from Michael Wolff. Now, I go back and forth on Michael Wolff because it appears like perhaps he knew more than he alluded to. It's hard to say that, but he's been consistent with reporting on this, right? So I'm going to play this little bit of sound. He's talking about Melania, again, I guess the question is why is she releasing this statement now? Is she trying to get out ahead of something? Does she anticipate something coming down the pipe? I don't know. Here you go.
The book was published yesterday in the US and UK entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York. It's by a British journalist by the name of Andrew Loney. And it's about the pathetic life of Prince Andrew, but it is also about his connection to Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and Melania Trump. And in fact, it contains a passage in which Epstein is quoted, and this is from an interview apparently in 2007, where he says that he had sex with Melania a full year before Donald Trump commenced his relationship with Melania.
So, again, what do we how do we navigate? What do we do with this new information other than do what we do? Hello, friend. How are you?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I am good. Happy Free Speech Friday. What's on your mind?
Well, I just want to thank you for your support and your presence yesterday in Sinjay's live. That means so much to me that you were there when I needed you. And
you're welcome. You did great.
I just simply want to say that you are safe, you are kind, and you are gentle. And thank you.
Thank you for saying that, friend. I appreciate you. Have a great day. Be safe out there. That's sweet. And here's Juju. Not yet. Good morning, Juju Bug. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say really quick, my little 2 cents about the Melania thing is my point of view, and it just may be me wearing my little foil hat. I think she did that shit on purpose. I think she was trying to bring the whole Epstein files back into the forefront of everyone's minds because it has been completely forgotten with the whole Iran stuff. So whether or not she has like an end game to it or not, but I think she did that on purpose to bring this back into the forefront of everyone's minds. So that's just my little take on that one. And I just have a few other things really quick. I just have a little quote I wanted to tell everyone. Trump is living proof that a con man doesn't have to be smart if his victims are stupid enough. So that's that little quote.
There's that tracks for sure.
Just 2 other little quick things. I just wanted to let everybody know that there is an amazing creator on TikTok. She goes by God Ain't Petty, But I Am, and she sells amazing t-shirts. One of them being that I just ordered one for my best friend and I, saying that I'm white, but I'm not that white. Trust me, guys, go get it. She even offers V-necks. So go to that. And then my last little thing is, Steve, I just wanted to tell you, and I'm sure Sam knows because she's a Missouri girl, here in Festus, which is a town like not too far from me, Festus showed up and they basically did a fuck around, find out. They voted all the councilmen out of office because they were not being listened to about the data center. So go Festus. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Everyone vote, 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 because it does work. And that's all I got. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Juju Bug. Have a great day. Be safe out there. Yeah, Sam can confirm. Good morning, you sexy bitch.
Good morning, you sexy bitch. Happy, excuse me, Free Speech Friday.
Indeed. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Same.
I have
but
a
better
lot
now,
of
but better now since you're here. So thank you. So what's on your mind?
You're so sweet. Lots. I have lots on my mind. This whole Melania thing, the one thing that sticks in my head that I've heard no one mention before is she never once mentioned that Donald was innocent. She talks about her innocence. She talks about people not talking about her. She doesn't mention him in that way at all. And I think that's pretty telling. I wonder if she's trying to get out ahead of like 25th Amendment or some sort of impeachment so that she can separate herself from him. So there's a life after Donald.
It's a really good point. Yeah, that her statement, she did allude to the fact that she never participated in any crimes or whatever else, but she could have, she had an opportunity to clear her husband or attempt to, and she did not do that.
She did not do that. And that whole message gave me the kind of heading it off at the past kind of feel, like something big is about to come out and I need to distance myself and show that I'm innocent before it happens. I don't know that really, and Duchess agrees.
The Duchess totally agrees. Yep.
I don't know if that worked the way she thought it did. Like, I think now people are just thinking, I wonder if you did have more involvement than you say you did. But I think that screamed that to me.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then somebody just mentioned this in the comments section, and I was thinking the same thing. Like, you know, people have been now lost their jobs, lost prominent positions. Prince Andrew, or formerly Prince Andrew, has been stripped of his royal title. Maybe he's talking. Like, I mean, all these kinds of things. So, yeah. But I think that the biggest thing, I think you're right, is that she had an opportunity. She could have said something. She could have at least a token defense of her husband, of which she did nothing.
No, nothing. And I have one final thought.
Sure.
For these podcasters and people in the media like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and what's that bald guy that was on
Alex
the TV
Jones.
shows? Well, that
Jones.
one too, but the other one had the podcast. Joe Rogan.
Joe.
I need them to fuck all the way off. And to keep fucking, and when they thought they're done, to keep fucking off even more. Because they could have prevented this. Half of them knew exactly who he was when they did this, and they had an agenda. And now they fucked everyone, including themselves. And they need to shut the hell up and fuck all the way off.
I would completely agree with you. They should fuck all the way off and then do it again.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, you sexy bitch. I appreciate you.
Same back at you sexy bitch. Love you.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye.
It's a great point. You know, it's a great point. There were opportunities, right? But they all signed on. They got a sniff of the taint, and they wanted to, you know, assimilate to power, and none of them spoke up. Tucker was really the first one to sort of come out and do anything. But good morning, Jen. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good. I just had my coffee, and my thoughts on Melania's speech is that these people are selfish. They never fail to be selfish. The speech was promoting her book and her film, and putting the victims in front in the spotlight, saying we should put them out there. Instead of saying, hey, why don't we investigate the men that did this? Put them in the spotlight. You know, she doesn't want to be put on the stand. She's saying, put them out there. Their names are redacted for a reason. They don't need to be put in the spotlight. They've already been through enough trauma. Let's get the guys up there on the stand that are the problem. Put them in the spotlight and prosecute them. Putting the victims in the spotlight is just gonna create more trauma for them. This was completely selfish of her a statement for her to make.
I would agree. I would agree. The only thing that I think is interesting is because calling out Congress for not allowing survivors to have their statements in a congressional hearing, or the Department of Justice for continuing to ignore requests from the survivors to issue their statements. I completely agree with you. But that goes against the entire administration's narrative. So that's where I think it's interesting. But you're right. It's a PR ploy. She's trying to distance herself from all of it. It is a movie. We've all seen too many movies. We've all seen it literally, you could not write this script. You couldn't write it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Be safe out there. You too. Take care. It's a great point. She's absolutely right. Yeah. Why it's kosher for Hillary to be deposed, but not the current first lady. Yeah, that's a great point, Christmas. I'll talk about that in just a second. Hi, another Jen. Hi, Jennifer. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Great. I just had a couple quick points. I agree with everybody's assessment of
what her intentions were. I never think that her intentions are pure. I think she showed exactly who she is all along. I'm curious that Trump said he did not know that she was giving any speech, anything. First of all, there's a whole coordinated PR effort. So how did he not know? Second of all, he never ever claims to not know things.
Correct.
He always
very good point. Very good point.
So if he flipped that script, it makes me think the opposite. It makes me think he very much knows and does not want to address it publicly. He wants her to have whatever comes down the track, that it's her problem, not his. So whatever happened, there's no way that he would ever say, well, I don't know. I've never heard him say I don't know unless he knew. So that's my own.
Jennifer, don't you find it interesting that a person who's in his entire life, he's been a very litigious individual, people who say bad things about him or accusing him of lies, he always sues them. He's not sued anyone that we know that have connected the dots.
If he did, there would have to be
files.
discovery.
Correct. Exactly.
He doesn't want that.
Exactly
so
right.
My
right.
other point, I think everybody knows, how terrible he is. But my other point is, I think something big is being missed about these emails with Melania and Ghislaine is that it's a business email. It is actually a casual business email. When you're talking high-end call girls, which let's just say she might be, you don't get to call your pimp.
One can maybe make that.
Let's just say that could be a thing.
Your opinion. That's right. Your opinion. Okay. I'm tracking
So
with you.
let's say that's the thing that somebody could be. You would never go to your pimp and say, why aren't you putting me down in Palm Beach? I want to be down there. I'm trying to make this hookup. I'm trying to make this connection because I'm trying to get in this marriage situation. I'm trying to get in with this guy. You could never say that. You have to put forth a business email that says, hi, how are you doing? Oh my goodness, you're looking so well. Everything's going so great. Just, I can't wait to get down to Palm Beach, wink, wink, and move on. It's business.
It's not a stretch. Yeah, that email again says, Dear G, how are you? Nice story about JE in New York Mag. You look great on the picture. I know you're very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down there. Give me a call when you're back in New York. Have a great time. Love, Melania.
It feels business.
Transactional. Yeah, you're right. It does.
It doesn't. That's exactly how I would present something for, a boss that I never felt like I could say something directly to.
Yeah. Again, TikTok, educational purposes only. We're just implying potentially.
If I was in that position, I might write something similar. Just saying.
Good call out. Thanks for joining, Jennifer. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Take care. All right. Bye. Yeah. Christmas said something in the chat that's interesting, right? We depose Hillary Clinton, former First Lady, former Secretary of State, obviously not on Donald Trump's Christmas list anymore, used to be. We depose her. She goes in and sits for testimony and answers questions. Why is the First Lady not? Because the First Lady's connected to this. Thank you. The First Lady is connected to this more than Hillary was, right? Maybe there's a picture or something from an event, but there's literally picture. I mean, look, we can't deny the existence of these photographs, right? I mean, we can't deny the existence. There's no photographs of Hillary in situations like this. So can't we then conclude that perhaps maybe a Melania should be subpoenaed? And the precedent has now been set, hasn't it? We now have precedent that a former First Lady can appear before Congress for testimony. I'm just saying. I mean, just if you want to put the pieces together, let's just connect the dots. Wild, right? Butterfly Effect. How are you today?
Good, Steve. Thank you. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind? Happy Free Speech Friday.
Happy Friday to you too. And also, I just want to say thank you for doing your part, and I hope your tour goes amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Of course. So I'll be quick. If this is a Democratic hoax, then why did she come out and bring more attention to it? I don't understand that.
Interesting point. Notice they've not really talked about the Democratic hoax. You notice how they haven't really talked about the Democratic hoax much anymore, Butterfly? That's sort of, they've lost that plot. Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, one other thing. If he didn't know, wouldn't that be worse? If you don't know what your own wife is doing, that's pretty dangerous as the president, wouldn't you assume?
When you're the president, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I respect, obviously, she should have her own life, but in a situation like this, especially with something as controversial as this topic, and you don't know, but yet you do know, but yet you don't, but yet you do, that's a problem.
Yeah, it just seemed like a very strange situation. And then just the last thing that I wanted to touch on real quick is I'm in my 30s, and not to be ageist, but I watched my parents struggle with my grandparents at one point and all the things that came with age, from the losing of your independence and not wanting to stick up with the times and not being good with technology and all those things. And I'm just curious why a whole generation of people would choose someone the same age as their parents, expecting him to be infallible of what comes with age, what they just saw their parents doing, being like, I need to put you in a home, or I need to put you in care. But yet this 80-year-old man is strong and all these things enough to run a country. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So it's really confusing.
But what about Biden, Butterfly, right?
Exactly.
So
100%.
Yeah. Great point. Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Have a good weekend too. Be safe out there. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting pitch. And again, I want to go back. Why was Hillary Clinton asked to testify about crimes committed by men? Why was the woman brought in to answer questions? Why was Howard Nutlick not brought in? Why was Steve Bannon not brought in? Why was Alex Acosta not interviewed with cameras showing? Alex Acosta gave him the sweetheart deal. You know that's the whole story. Why is Les Wexner not being testified in front of Congress? Seriously. But yet you bring in Hillary? So the precedent has been set. If you can then subpoena a former president and the former president and the first lady, and they show up to testify, then all bets are off for the future. All bets are off. I see you all in the request box. I'll get to you guys. Be patient, please. Everybody keep tapping, please. Let's see if we can get to 200K here in the next few minutes. 200. Good morning, Patrick. How are you today? Patrick? Hello? Patrick? The progressive in your pocket, Patrick. Okay, I guess not. Let's see. Kind, not nice. I like that.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
No, I was just listening to your reading of her statement. And I am in no way, shape, or form a fan of this administration or anyone that supports it. But I just can't help but hope that she is an unsuspecting hero in this. By her not trying to point out at his innocence, by her trying to distance herself from him, coupled with like all the rumors flying around about how they're not really involved in each other's lives, they don't really care for each other, he doesn't have a great relationship with Barron, and her calling on Congress to admit permanently the victim statements into the record when they testify, and their PR teams allegedly not knowing about each other's statements or what was going to happen. I do feel like in some way, shape, or form, she's doing her patriotic duty for our country and helping him fall a little faster.
Yeah, I won't go that far, but that's a fair perspective. I appreciate that. I want to go back to the fact that Hillary Clinton was forced to testify, and I think that there's an opportunity now to find out if we have any courage in Congress whatsoever to bring her in and testify as well. But thanks for jumping in today.
I
appreciate you for being here.
I hope they do.
Yeah,
Thank you. Have a good day.
I guess you got it. Thanks a lot. We'll see. I don't expect it, right? But we are talking about it again. That's for sure. You know, again, the 112th day of the federal government breaking the law by not following the rules of the Epstein File Transparency Act. That's just that simple, you know. And Melania on that 111th day comes out and says, "Hey, you know, here's the sitch." Good morning, Nana. How are you today?
Hi. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Hey, my question is, how do we get Congress to invoke the 25th Amendment and get this crazy ass man out of office? How do we make them do that?
Congress can't do that. That's not something that Congress can do. That has to come from the vice president and members of his cabinet.
Okay, well, how do we get them to do that?
That's the question, isn't it? That's the question. All Congress can do is impeach in the House and remove from office in the Senate. We can blame Mitch McConnell. We can go back to him. We can go back to Mitch McConnell. He had an opportunity the first time. If he had told Republicans to vote to remove him from office, we would not be where we are. So, there's that.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You're welcome. I didn't mean to depress you, but that's just the reality. Yeah, I'm sorry. The 25th Amendment is something that has to happen from the actually, since it's brought up, just in case people are asking, let me just give you the details of that so we have it top of mind. Okay, here. This is how it works. Recently, Hakeem Jeffries asked Jamie Raskin. Jamie Raskin cut his teeth as a constitutional lawyer. Jamie Raskin is probably one of the smartest people who serves in government currently. That dude is a walking, talking, frickin' Mensa committee. So he asked Hakeem Jeffries, according to the reporting, Hakeem Jeffries asked Jamie Raskin to brief the House on the mechanisms involved in the 25th Amendment. Like, I don't know what that means necessarily, other than to say, you know, there might be some talk going on here. Anyway, key 4 sections. The 25th Amendment, ratified 1967, explains what happens if a U.S. president can't serve temporarily or permanently. It's all about continuity of power. There are 4 sections. Secession, if the president dies, resigns, or is removed, the vice president becomes president. Filling a vice presidential vacancy, if there's no VP, the president nominates one, but Congress must approve. The president can declare, I can't do the job right now. Then the VP becomes acting president until the president says they're ready again. And then the involuntary transfer. The VP and a majority of the cabinet can declare the president unable to perform duties. The VP becomes acting president immediately. If the president disputes it, Congress then decides a 2/3 vote to keep the VP in charge. After controversial statements about Iran, some lawmakers publicly raised the 25th Amendment claim again. There's some bipartisan support, a little bit, but unlikely. So again, the mechanism would be the vice president and the one more than half, the majority of Congress of, I'm sorry, not Congress, of the cabinet. We've got some inflation numbers too. Mods, can you check that? I think I just saw something come down the pipe. Yes, you can, Brooke. Absolutely. Good morning, friend. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm better now that you're here. What's on your mind?
This morning, I actually saw a interview that Jamie Raskin did with Brian Tyler Cohen. It was on YouTube, and it was about from 9 hours ago. And Jamie Raskin said during that interview, he was explaining the 25th Amendment, and how it can be used. But he also said that twice during Trump's first, administration, he introduced legislation to establish a, what's the word? I'm losing my words. Like a panel, to establish a panel of neurologists, doctors, and other people that could also invoke the 25th Amendment instead of only using the cabinet. So, but he said that they, of course, did not pass it those 2 times, but he is considering reintroducing that again. So it would establish some sort of panel to evaluate it. So there may be another method that doesn't include Congress, that doesn't include the cabinet. But of course, it's not. It probably won't pass. But
that's interesting. Yeah. It may not even see the light of day. But the fact, it's important to remind people what it is we're talking about here. We're talking about rumors, innuendo, suggestions about removing the president from power. That's not something, we can't normalize this shit. It is not good. It's not good. It should happen. He is a threat, but it's just not good. You know, and I don't think Republicans, especially the moderates, don't want J.D. Vance in power. So we've got that whole thing. So then we've got to look at the constitutionality of all this shit. But I know he represents your state, and he's a good man, Jamie Raskin. So
yes, he does.
Thank you for jumping in today. I appreciate you very much.
All right.
I love you, friend.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You got it.
Happy Friday.
You too. All right, bye. Happy too.
Bye.
All right, bye. So just a little follow-up here. Ex-wife and victim of Paolo Zampoli, Amanda Ungaro, has been tweeting at the First Lady that she will reveal who Melania really is and who Trump really is. Amanda Ungaro appears on the Epstein flight logs when she was just 17 years old. Amanda Ungaro was deported as a personal favor to Trump's friends and current international ambassador Paolo Zampoli. So shit is fucking rumbling. This is, let me see if thank you, Sam, for posting this. Let me see if I have this entire story. I'll just play the sound for you. Hang on a second.
To FLOTUS from a woman named Amanda Ungaro. Who is Amanda Ungaro? Well, she used to go by the name Amanda Zampoli. That's right, the ex-wife, but more likely the victim of Paolo Zampoli, a man who is all over the Epstein files, who is friends with Trump, who is currently an international ambassador, a pretend made-up position that Trump just gave him because they're such good friends. Now, Amanda Ungaro was on Jeffrey Epstein's flight log when she was 17. Exactly. And Paolo Zampoli used to run a modeling agency. Is any of this sounding familiar to you guys? Paolo Zampoli, who is all over the Epstein files, requested that Trump detain and deport his ex-wife, Amanda Zampoli, who, again, he groomed as a teenager. So a woman that Paolo Zampoli groomed as a teenager was taken into ICE custody last year and held imprisoned for 5 months before she was deported to Brazil, and her child has now been stolen from her. And all of this at the request of Paolo Zampoli, and the Trump administration, being the mob boss fuckers that they are, did it. Can you think for a second how absolutely insane it is that you live in a country where the president of the United States might just send someone to deport you? Not because you're here illegally, but because his friend asked you to. Think about how insane that is. And this woman, Amanda Ungaro, was a groomed child victim of Paolo Zampoli and Jeffrey Epstein. And now she's coming out and saying she's going to say the truth about who Melania and who Donald Trump really are. I will not be surprised if she turns up dead. Let's see what comes of this, but I'm a little worried for Amanda Ungaro.
Ex-wife and victim of Paolo Zampoli, Amanda Ungaro, has been tweeting at the First Lady that she will reveal who Melania really is and who Trump really is. Amanda Ungaro appears on the Epstein flight logs when she was just 17. Amanda Ungaro was deported as a personal favor to Trump's friend and current international ambassador Paolo Zampoli. It's a huge scandal in itself, and no one is paying enough attention to it. Do not be surprised if Amanda turns up missing. We'll put it that way. Missing. Okay, we'll get back to this in just a moment, but a bit of breaking news, friends. Actually, I have that one already. Hang on a second. We have BLS data. The consumer price index for all urban consumer CPI products increased by 0.9% in March to 3.3%. All items index rose 3.3% for the 12 months ending in March after rising 2.4% for the 12 months ending in February. The all item less food and energy index rose 2.6% over the year, following a 2.5% increase over the 12 months ending in February. The energy index increased, wait for this, 12.5% for the 12 months ending in March. The food index increased 2.7% over the last year. All that winning. So the president rattling as to why interest rates didn't drop. Well, this is why. Because people who work in the Fed are a fuck ton smarter than our administration. So it's just going to get worse. Gas prices as of this morning sit at $4.15. It's down a half a cent from yesterday. It was $4.09 a week ago, $3.53 a month ago, $3.22 a year ago. Diesel sits at $5.68 a gallon. It's up over $2 from a year ago. Energy increase, according to BLS, 12.5%. MAGA. Friends. Do you hear that? How are you going to spin this one? Because I don't know. Good luck, though. That's all I can tell you. Good luck spinning it.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning, Ranting. How are you?
I'm doing awesome.
And you have 3 different options. If this is like too much for you, overstimulating, there are 2 other options. But I just love this one. This one's been very viral, especially this pattern. I feel like the pink one, maybe it's not in this. I thought we might see one of the solids in this. But go down a whole size of this one. In number 13, go down an entire size. I'm in the small, and if they had extra small, definitely could have worn extra small. So, this is what
We don't know what happened, friends, but welcome back. Help us get back out to the FYP, please. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Interesting that particular topic, there was no indication as to what happened. With just that the live ended, there was no warning. There was nothing along those lines. But I think they're suppressing the speech on that topic a little bit. So there's that. Anyway, let's get back to what we were just discussing. So 3.3% unemployment year over year, energy up 12.5%. Just look at your gas bill, look at your electric bill, and I don't know how people are going to spend this, but good luck. Okay, everybody, keep tapping, please. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. If you guys have not yet joined the team here, please consider doing so. I think we have a gifting goal set up here. I might have to just adjust that a little bit. Hang on a sec. Let me do this. I don't know. Anywho. You're back.
Let's try this one more time. Everything I'm about ready to say is my opinion and my opinion only. So that's what I was trying to say. I really feel that Melania has been given something to say her speech yesterday. But if this was such an issue for her, why hasn't she spoken out this whole time? You know what I mean? Like, what is she getting in order to make her movie, write her book, and make the speech that she did not write? None of this is from her. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is she being given? Is this a divorce and he's going to give her something? Like, she's the scapegoat now, if that makes sense. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Potentially.
So that's all I wanted to say. And every woman that's come up here to give their thoughts is exactly, I think, of how all of us women feel. So all your guests have given the nail on the head 1,000%. Thank you. That's all I needed to say.
You got it. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I guess, welcome, friends. If you don't, this is the backup. Please follow us here. If you don't, we'll likely win the appeal. They don't know what we did. There was no warning. We just free speech is 7 days a week. Okay. Not in Trump's America, but that's fine. So, yeah. But we sit. Good morning, Katie. How are you today?
Hi, Steve. Good morning. I just wanted to tell you there was a couple of weeks ago, Trump was at a rally / speech, and he was talking about Melania, saying how people are complaining that she's illegal, yada yada. And just wait, I think she's going to come up in the next couple of weeks and talk about it. So I don't know if maybe she faked him out and like made him think she was going to talk about her status. And then when she did come out, she talked about this. But yeah, there's a clip. It was a couple of weeks ago. I don't know where he was. I'm not sure. It was like a rally / speech or whatever. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting that he thought that she might be speaking about her immigration status when meanwhile she came out about Epstein. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's a fair perspective. I appreciate that, friend.
Sure.
Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Steve. Bye-bye.
You got it. Yeah. I mean, somebody said this. I don't. I'm going to be careful here that I don't. How do I want to say this? I don't see Melania as a hero in any of this. We don't know if she was trafficked. We are all talking in innuendo, but, she has signed on to this. She knows that Donald Trump is a predator. She knows that Donald Trump cheated on his first wife with his second wife after raping his first wife. Cheated on his second wife with her. Cheated on her while she was pregnant with Barron, with Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal and others. So, I'm not going to accuse her of committing crimes against children, but, how do we square that? How do we square that? Like, it's just for whatever she's doing for whatever reason she's doing it. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what this breaks. Friends, continue to tap and get us back out to the FYP. I appreciate y'all very, very much. Liking is loving, tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. Just as a reminder, $9,529 towards our 25K goal to support the Do Something Tour. So if you've got it, if you have the means, we'd appreciate that. Just programming note, we are working on trying to put together a 16-hour live-a-thon on Friday, the 24th of April, so 2 weeks from today. Still putting the pieces together in my head. It's going to start with our normal show, and then over the course of the day, and then ending with Facts After Dark at night. Over the course of the day, I want to use our platform to give voices to those who may not necessarily have the reach that we have here. So it's likely going to involve creators who are women. It's going to involve members of marginalized communities across the board. So we're still putting the pieces together. There's a few people that I've already reached out to that have expressed interest in wanting to do this. So stay tuned for that. We'll give you updates between now and then. So likely going to be 2 weeks from today, the 24th. Again, it will be a live-a-thon. I don't know how else to call it. So starting at 8 o'clock and then ending after Facts After Dark that evening. So we'll go from 8 to 12 for the regular show. We'll do segments from 12 to 4, segments from 4 to 8, and then again, Facts After Dark from 8 until whenever. So so that's coming. Okay. So let's get into a few other things from today. I'm going to play some sound. Since we're talking about this this controversy connected to Melania. Like, I don't know a facts-a-thon. I like that, Chris. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't think any of us do. But here we sit. We've got more lies about the Iran war. We've got the United States likely violating the ceasefire now. We've got the inflation rate up to 3.3%. The president telling us that we can't afford daycare as long as we can continue to fund the war. But then we have an interesting story. This is reported by the AP and by CBS. Army survivors of the deadly attack in Kuwait, despite a dispute the Pentagon's account. Survivors of the deadliest Iranian attack on U.S. forces since the war began have disputed the Pentagon's description of events and said their unit in Kuwait was left dangerously exposed when 6 service members were unalived and more than 20 were wounded. Speaking publicly for the first time, members of the targeted unit offered CBS News a detailed account of the attack and its harrowing aftermath from the perspective of those on the ground. The members CBS News spoke to disputed the description of events from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who described the drone as a squirter. That's how he referred to it, a squirter. And apparently that's not the term that the Defense Department uses, claiming that one just squirted through. That it squirted through the defense of a fortified unit inside Kuwait. Quote, painting a picture that one squeaked through is a falsehood, said one of the injured soldiers who told CBS News. I want people to know the unit was unprepared to provide any defense for itself. It was not a fortified position. That service member, who like others spoke on the condition of anonymity because of rigid media restrictions within the military, said that in spite In spite of the carnage that ensued, those inside the charred and splintered compound responded with swiftness, ingenuity, and valor that saved lives. Quote, I don't think the security environment or any leadership decision diminishes in any way their sacrifice or their service, the member of the Army's 103rd Sustainment Command said in an interview. Those soldiers put themselves in harm's way, and I'm immensely proud of them, and their families should be proud of them too. These first eyewitness accounts, along with photos and videos of the attack's aftermath obtained by CBS, offer the first description of what occurred on March 1st at the thinly fortified Kuwaiti port facility on the first day of the Iranian drone strikes. In the hours after the attack, incoming missile alarms had signaled to the crew of about 60 troops to take cover in cement bunkers while a ballistic missile flew overhead. But around 9:15 a.m. and all clear alerts sounded, officers removed their helmets and returned to their desks in the wood and tin workspace about the width of 3 trailers. From there, they resumed managing the movement of equipment, munitions, and personnel across the Middle East. About 30 minutes later, everything shook. One soldier told CBS News, and it's something like what you see in the movies. Your ears are ringing, everything's fuzzy, your vision is blurry, you're dizzy, there's dust, and there's smoke everywhere. Dazed, the service members surveyed a grisly scene. Head wounds, heavy bleeding, lots of perforated eardrums, and then just shrapnel all over. So folks bleeding from their abdomen, bleeding from their arms, bleeding from their legs. Trigger warnings, my apologies. A video shows smoke billowing from the building, fires smoldering, the blast unalived 6, the deadliest attack on U.S. troops since 2021, and injured more than 20 soldiers. It was a direct hit. About 1 week before the launch of Operation Epic Fury, most American soldiers and airmen stationed in Kuwait were relocated to positions in Jordan and Saudi Arabia and further away from Iranian missile range. Some soldiers said leadership advised them they won't be gone long, to pack for 30 days and leave behind most personal equipment, including their military-issued computers. The goal is don't be a target. The way it was described was get off the X, meaning away from the danger zone, one soldier who just returned from deployment explained. But for several dozen members of the Army's 103rd Sustainment Command at a major U.S. base south of Kuwait, there was a different set of orders. Pack up everything and relocate to Port of Shuhaiba, a smaller military outpost off Kuwait's southern coast. The Tactical Operations Center was similar to structures commonplace during the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Before the rise of drone warfare, steel-reinforced concrete barriers known as T-walls surrounded the building. These types of barriers are designed to shield service members from blasts of a mortar or from rockets, but offer no protection from aerial attacks. It's just kind of classic older military base, one soldier recalled, some small barriers. There's a bunch of little tin buildings where we can set up makeshift offices. So again, the headline, Army survivors of deadly attack in Kuwait dispute Pentagon's account. So here's a question, right? When we get the spin from Pete Hegseth, from the administration, from Marco Rubio, from John Ratcliffe, from General Raising Cane about the success, are you going to choose to believe them? Because these stories contradict, like most everything these days. Guess we'll see. Guess we'll see. Good morning, Stallion. How are you today?
Good, and yourself?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I heard you talking about what's going on in Iran.
Yeah, you're opposed to it, right?
Actually, I'm not. I mean, we've been hearing since the Carter administration that these people are bad. Reagan sold them arms.
What about wait. Slow down. Okay. What happened before the Iranian Revolution?
Couldn't even tell you. I'm not even gonna lie. But I know these people held American.
So educate yourself. Okay. So my advice to you, friends, is this, right? My advice to you is this. When people bring that up, because that's the message that you're getting from their safe spaces now. Oh, only 1979. Ask them to tell you the story prior to that. Because if you joined our show, we've talked about it numerous times. Democratically elected Prime Minister Mossadegh wanted to nationalize the Iranian oil industry. He was democratically elected. He was supported by the country. The relationship with the U.S. and Iran was actually pretty sound, right? Pretty sound. And then what did we do? American interventionism, along with British intelligence, or organized a coup d'etat. Just for the purposes of this conversation, Stallion the Italian. So I will educate you. I will give you some free advice. Stallion is a Celtic. Did Sam Sock show up too? That's awesome. I'm just gonna give me a minute here. Let's just go through the exercise, okay? Hang on one sec. let's do this. Let's do this. Here's an opportunity for folks that have not found us over here on our 2.0 account. Please consider following me here. Before 1953, the U.S. and Iran were generally friendly with no major conflicts. Iran was strategically important because of oil and its location near the Soviet Union during the Cold War. From 1951 to 1953, Iran's democratically elected prime minister, Mossadegh, nationalized Iran's oil industry, angering Britain and Western companies. The CIA backed a coup. U.S. and Britain orchestrated a coup d'etat that overthrew Mossadegh and restored the Shah to power. The Shah ruled with strong U.S. support for the next 26 years. Now, do you think Stalin knew that? Doubtful. The U.S. gained a Cold War ally. Many Iranians saw the coup as foreign interference, creating long-term resentment. Iran became one of America's strongest allies in the Middle East from 1953 to 1979. The U.S. provided military aid, economic assistance, and intelligence support. Iran bought large amounts of American weapons and cooperated against Soviet influence. However, the Shah's government was authoritarian. The Shah, installed by the coup, led by the Brits and by us. His secret police, also known as the Savak, supported by the U.S., suppressed dissent. Many Iranians blamed the U.S. for supporting suppression. 1979, the Iranian Revolution. Iranian Revolution overthrows the Shah. The Ayatollah created an Islamic republic hostile to the U.S. From 1979 to 1981, Iranian students seized the U.S. embassy and held 52 American hostages for 444 days. The U.S. then broke diplomatic relations with Iran in 1980. Funny. From 1980 to the 2000s, during the Iran-Iraq War, Stallion, during the Iran-Iraq War, you should listen to this. The U.S. supported Iraq directly directly to contain Iran. So let's here's a short summarized history lesson. We destabilized their country. We overthrew their democratically elected prime minister. We installed their Shah. Their Shah led for roughly 30 years through authoritarian tendencies, suppressing dissent, rounding up people, right? And then, just to make matters worse, after the Iranian citizens the Iranian students held hostage American citizens for 444 days in the embassy, after that, we then supported Iraq in the war against Iran. In 1988, the U.S. shot down an Iranian passenger plane. In 2002, President George Bush labeled Iran part of the axis of evil. And then Iran developed nuclear technology in the early 2000s. The U.S. feared Iran was pursuing nuclear weapons. 2015, the JCPOA, signed by Barack Obama, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. 2018, Donald Trump pulled us out. 2020, the president took out General Soleimani, and here we are. And scene. There's your history lesson. So when people want to bring up 1979, they're being lazy. Because that's what they've been told. It's like almost the world didn't exist prior to 1979. So, yeah, there's that. Good luck, Stallion, in your journey through education. You're welcome. Good morning, Drew. How are you, friend?
Well, now that we're all a little dumber, I wanted to just tell you a story that I think kind of wraps up how MAGA thinks and how this administration thinks. You used to work in corporate, right? You used to be a C-suiter.
Sure did. Sadly.
So are you familiar with the sandwich technique of offering criticism?
Tell me. I think I may be. It may not be referred to as that.
I learned it when I was teaching and when I used to be a camp counselor and stuff. It's a way of passing on information to somebody to try to keep it positive. The sandwich technique is basically bread, meat, bread. So you start off with saying, hey, this person's really great. Like, they're really working hard. They're trying hard. They're learning a lot.
Yeah.
And then you give the meat. Okay, this is what's going on. These are the problems. This is what needs to be addressed. And then you put another piece of bread on there, say, but, they're really trying hard. We really appreciate the effort they're putting in. So you kind of wrap it in one nice little package. You're trying to get a message out there, but you're wrapping a little package. So I work for a telecom. I've been there. It'll be about, I think, 17 years coming up later in April. And I was a lead for the repair department for many years, which meant that I would take customer complaint calls for the supervisors who were supposed to be taking the calls, but didn't really want to. So that kind of fell to me. So I took a call one time about a customer, and I don't remember what it was about, but they were complaining about something that happened on a call. Now, she was very polite. She said a couple nice things about the gentleman who took her call, but she also had some serious complaints about his behavior on the call and about what he did and how he handled the situation. So I wrote up an email like I was supposed to do and sent it to his supervisor, who, to her credit, just wasn't all there, okay? And, I did exactly that. I did the sandwich. I said, hey, this lady called. I explained the situation and said, hey, he was very helpful. He did his best. He was very polite. However, and then I proceeded to write about 3 paragraphs of all the mistakes he made and the lady's concerns. And then, of course, I wrapped it up saying, she wanted to know that, she understands he's trying. However, there are issues that need to be addressed. So I sent the email and I contacted the supervisor and said, hey, just so you know, I sent an email about so-and-so. I got a complaint call, or I got a call, a supervisor call about it. And she said, oh, I know. I already gave him a certificate. And I said, okay, I'm sorry. You gave him a certificate? She said, yeah, anytime somebody does something good, we give them a certificate. I said, okay, well, wait a minute. I said, did you happen to read the entire email? And she said, hold on a second. So a couple minutes pass by, and then she comes back and says, okay, I took his certificate away. That's MAGA right there. They grab onto the piece of information they want to hear, and they run with it. Stallion, Iran is bad. Those people are bad. Okay, what people? What's the history? What caused that? What can we do to make it better instead of causing more bad things to happen? They don't want to hear that. They just grab that bread, and that's what Trump does, is just throws them the breadcrumbs. Here, take these breadcrumbs, and they just gobble it up. They never get to the meat. They never get to the meat. And I think it's the same way with Trump. I think the people around him enable him by only feeding him what he wants to hear. And he only listens to the things that he wants to hear. Anything that is negative, he doesn't care about, because that does not interest him. It doesn't benefit him. It doesn't profit him. That's how they think. It's that sandwich technique, but they only want that damn bread.
It's deeper than that. Not only does he not want to hear negative, whenever there is negative, it's somebody else's fault. It's rhinos, it's people that are disloyal, it's the media, et cetera, et cetera. So that's I think that's the biggest issue. Yes, I actually have to give my. So just say, Drew, you just mentioned something. I now have to give certificates to our to my mom.
There you go.
So thanks a lot. So thanks a lot for that. Oh, yeah, seriously.
Sock certificates. You need sock certificates.
I'm anticipating it. Yes, there's going to be a strike, an uprising.
Because I think it's it's a little dangerous, and we say it all the time when people say that Trump is not intelligent. Academically, by any standard, he is not. He's dumb as a post. But I think it's dangerous to say that he's not, because he's gifted in a way of manipulating people. He is, and just look at what's happened to our country. He's gotten elected twice. He can manipulate the hell out of people, and he can twist things around. He has a way of snaking himself out of things. And that's why anytime we say he's not smart, I feel like we're underestimating him. I remember I had an argument as a kid with a friend's mom, and we were talking about Germany. We're talking about the 1930s and everything. And I made the comment that Mustache Man was a genius. And she said, how can you say that? He did awful things. I said, yes, genius is not always a good thing. Genius often leads to insanity. It often leads to craziness. Trump is a genius when it comes to self-preservation, when it comes to manipulation, when it comes to benefiting himself. Now, he's obviously flawed at it, because we see those flaws every day, but he's good enough at it where stupid people refuse to see it. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because, we see people like Stallion, and you've had some real doozies on this week, buddy, that are just, it's unbelievable, but
I agree.
Hey, on a good note,
thank you, my friend.
On a good note, before I go, my son started baseball games this week.
Nice.
7 years old.
It'll eventually be spring up here. We're not supposed to get above like 59 degrees until like July. So enjoy. Allow me to live vicariously through you. So thank you, friend.
I will definitely keep you filled in, buddy.
Have a good day.
Have a great weekend
out there. Thanks a lot. You too. It's interesting that commentary, because yes, like Sam pointed this out, that Ted Bundy was a genius. Ted Kaczynski genius, right? So I wouldn't, how do I want to say this? It's the manipulation that he's really good at. I don't think he's good at anymore because it's not effective anymore. Now it's just like he's just babbling. But leading up during the 2015, 2016 campaign, if you go back and watch some of his speeches, you can understand why he drew a lot of people in. Because it was compelling. He's always been about his brand. He's always been about his messaging. He's always been about, the tough guy persona. And he went after people that other people perceived as threats and enemies. Now it's just dribble. And now his supporters are like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, what are you doing?" So that's a good point. That's a good call out, Drew. Thanks for that. Okay, everybody, we're on the backup in case you were like, "What happened?" We don't know what happened. Usually there's a warning. Usually there's something. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I don't vote for game show hosts. Exactly. So there's a few other things I wanted to comment just a little bit. I wasn't really going to get into this today, but I joined a live last night. It was late. I don't know what time it was, like 10 o'clock or so, whatever. This gentleman claimed to be offering dating advice for men. And I won't name names because I don't like to do that. But it was really, really interesting that this person was trying to, let's call it what it was. It was a grift. And I went into it just out of curiosity. And yeah, I challenged him because that's what we should do. When I asked him the question about, do you believe that it's all men? First of all, he claimed that he didn't understand what that was. At one point in the conversation, he referred to women as girls and then tried to deny that he did that. So I pressed him. I said, how can you be up here offering advice to men and you're not even aware of what it's all men is? And over the course of our brief conversation, he didn't respond so very well. Let's put it that way. And I think it's interesting when you challenge somebody. I mean, he's a writer. He wrote a book. And if you're unable to take critiques of your book and you can't take critiques of your message, then that's a problem, right? So, yes, and we are your fangirls. I share that because as we discuss, I'm an advocate for men calling out men. No, he did not. Oh, yes, he did. Sorry, El Rock. Yes, he did. It was constructive criticism. All I said was, sir, you understand that if you're going to be offering dating advice for men, and then you have to let them know, it should start with, here's what it's all men is. He did not know what it meant. And then, of course, he pulled into that trap. It's not all men. I gave him multiple scenarios. How would women know? And he just was triggered by that because I think his brand, in an attempt to justify his place as a safe spot for women, failed miserably. Because over the course of that conversation, after I got dropped, there was more continuation. Then, of course, people came in and attacked me, homophobic slurs against me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which is totally fine, I share that with you because in our quest to constantly try to call out men for bad behavior, my concern is that when women see someone who says that they're anti-red pill, they might look at that as a safe space. And they might see that as a safe space. And I don't know if everybody's got to form like their own opinion, but it was not good. So be careful out there. Be careful, because there were people that were coming to his defense in the chat. And I was reminding folks that when a person who's claiming to be an advocate for women, a person who's claiming to be offering dating advice for men, referred to women as girls, gets called out in his chat by saying it, then denied saying it, and then didn't know what it's all men means. And then when I explained it, then he said, oh, yeah. When I asked him this one question, I said, don't you think it's important that men are aware of this, what it's all men means? And he said, no, not when it comes to dating. So again, just be careful. I saw some people that were in here that were there last night. If I didn't share that accurately or correctly, then please call me out, because that was my experience. Anyway, I share that because I want to play some sound from our, I've shared this creator before. And her name is Dangerously Informed with Evie. This is about 19 minutes long. Thank you, Cookie, for putting this in the chat. First of all, there has now been a certificate created. Of course there is. The certificate says, Certificate of Amazingness. This certificate is presented to mods for being the bestest, most amazing, kindest people ever, signed by me. So yes, a certificate has been created, and yes, and of course made by Sam, and there is a sock on the certificate. So thank you, Sam. All right. I wanted to tell you a little story because here's where we sit. So let me start by playing this creator. This is Taylor Makes Videos on TikTok. I'll play this one first.
Did not all men on a post the other day. So I DM'd him and I asked if he would consider hiring a male babysitter for his 2 young daughters who had great reviews, was background checked, had references, the whole shebang. And he said no. And when I asked him why, he was like, I don't know. I just wouldn't be comfortable with it. And I was like, okay, but why? And he's like, well, you just never know for sure with boys, especially teenage boys. I was like, do you not realize that that is the exact same logic that you just called out on Instagram as an overreaction publicly like 30 minutes ago? Like you just shamed a stranger online for generalizing men in the name of safety and then literally turned around and did the exact same thing in private. Are women wrong for being cautious or are you right for being cautious? Because it can't be both. And that's the thing. Men already know. You know why women should never leave a drink unattended at a bar. You know why women shouldn't walk to their car alone at night. You know why you don't want a male babysitter. You've got a whole list of reasons why. You just don't like that women have the same list. Because when women have that list, suddenly it's not all men. When you have that list, you're just being a good dad, a good partner, a good guy. Women are not overreacting. They are doing the same risk assessment that you do for the women you love in your life. The only difference is that you get to do it from a place of authority, while women have to do it from a place of survival. 2 things can be true at once. There can be good men, and there can also be enough dangerous men that being safe and cautious with all of them is the correct route for women to take. Hope that helps.
No notes. Real quick. Thank you, Cookie. Cookie says, why when we finally get... Okay, fine. Why when we finally get Steve to say squirter, did it have to be a serious topic? Okay. Anyway, thank you for that, friend. Also, thank you to Tina. Thank you very much for your kindness. Appreciate you. The Dollar Train. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Redbird. Also, thank you to Leah for your $1 on the Dollar Train. Appreciate you, friend. Savage Mom, thank you as well. You guys are awesome. Thank you so very, very much. All right, so that I mentioned to you, we've played some sound from this creator before. I really like the way that she breaks things down. This is from Dangerously Informed with Evie. And the title of this particular segment is We Found Out Why the Right is So Obsessed with Masculinity. And I think this relates to all of these kinds of things that we talk about right now, because the Epstein class, thank you, Fred, the Epstein class not being prosecuted, the constant quest for the alpha as we approach the military, using big words, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll just play this for you. It's about 20 minutes long, but it's worth a listen. And thank you again, Cookie, for sharing this.
Not stop talking about masculinity. Politicians talking about strong men and weak leaders. Commentators warning that men are becoming feminized. Podcasts about discipline, dominance, testosterone. Even when the topic isn't masculinity, it somehow becomes masculinity.
Breathe air. You don't need a vape.
Immigration becomes about protecting our women. Economics becomes about men who can't provide anymore. Politics becomes a performance of strength. Who looks tough? Who looks weak? Why is the right so obsessed with masculinity?
Yes, why?
The feeling of falling. One of the most consistent findings across political science right now is that people don't become politically radical when they're simply struggling. They become politically radical when they feel like they're falling. Not poor, but poorer than they used to be. Not excluded, but replaced. Political scientist Diana Mutz says, status threat, not economic hardship, explains the 2016 presidential vote. But she's right. This isn't about people who have nothing. It's about people who feel like something has been taken from them. Sociologist Michael Kimmel calls it aggrieved entitlement. The feeling that you followed the rules, you did what you were supposed to do, and now you're not getting what you were promised. Masculinity used to come with a kind of default script. You work, you provide, you lead, and in return, you are respected. But that doesn't hold up the same way anymore. Economic structures have changed. Cultural norms changed. Gender roles changed. Capitalism got us all, girl.
She's so right. There's so many things on here that are just that resonate with all of us. I think they should, at least.
For a lot of men, especially those who felt secure in that older system, all this change doesn't feel like progress. It feels like displacement. It feels like disempowerment. It's about status, and status itself is relative. If your position stays the same, but it feels like everyone around you is moving up, it can still register as decline. And over the past few decades, all of those changes have been like highly visible.
Just to jump in real quick, I think part of that, like we discuss here in the space often, is that because women are achieving more, getting more degrees at a higher rate, in particular black women, they're just achieving more, they've got more status, it's obvious that women don't need men, and men, their response to that is to not try to make themselves better. Case in point, what we witnessed last night is just to complain. And just to make it worse, and just attempt to treat women worse, belittle women more, et cetera, et cetera.
Women have gained more independence and power, and more diverse representation across politics and culture has happened. There's more explicit conversations about privilege and inequality. Now, for some, like me, and probably you, that feels like progress. But for others, it feels like a reordering of the hierarchy itself. Like, nothing makes sense anymore. And if your identity was tied even implicitly to being near the top of that hierarchy, the shift and the changes don't feel neutral. It all feels like a threat. Researchers at King's College London describe the emotional atmosphere driving these movements as a mix of resentment, humiliation, and anger. And honestly, in my opinion, this is something you can see across speeches and comment sections and like political rhetoric in general. It's never framed as things are difficult. It's framed as we're being disrespected. We're being ignored. They're laughing at us.
Think about the entire manosphere. You guys have watched Inside the Manosphere. If you haven't by now, I recommend it. That's kind of the theme, right? Men behaving badly is justified in the minds of MRAs and justified in the minds of the red pill community because they feel that women, of course, are the problem. And I say this to you every day, queens. They are so afraid of you. They are terrified of you, which is why they want to suppress your vote, which is why they don't want you in office, which is why they don't want you to lead, which is why they want the single vote household. So give them reason to be afraid, okay?
Now, for men, humiliation is one of the most politically powerful emotions there is. Because it doesn't just make you feel sad. It makes you want to restore something. This is why purely economic explanations never fully work. Because you can improve someone's financial situation and then they can still feel like they're losing. If you've seen my video digging into why so many poor people voted for Trump, who's like a multi-billionaire, you'd already know that in many cases, people who support these far-right weird movements weren't the poorest. They were relatively stable, but living in environments that felt like they were declining. Places losing industries and opportunities, or honestly, simply losing relevance. That creates a very specific psychological environment. One where people feel not just left behind, but completely overlooked. Not just struggling, but forgotten. And once that...
There's a lot of do something in here, isn't there, friends, right? People who genuinely feel like the system does not work for them and or everybody is out to get them. Now, depending on what circles you walk in or pools that you swim in, that may be very true. There's people across this country who've never had a visit from their elected official, or what's worse, perhaps they've never inquired, they've never asked, they've never pushed the needle. So I'm not excusing behavior, But if you think about this, they look at society progressing around them, those people who generally who don't participate in our democracy, they look at society, they look at women advancing, they look at black women graduating. I think it's the single largest demographic of college degrees is now black women. Black owned businesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And fragile white men don't know how to respond. And this is the first time now that white men are now under threat. And as we've discussed here numerous times, the advice that black women have been trying to give us, the collective, is to move differently. And no, the patriarchy won't allow that. Okay? The patriarchy just will not allow that. And the red pill community will not allow that. They will fight and fight and fight. So it's just like capitalism. We've achieved so much power. The people that are in power are going to fight everything tooth and nail to not lose the grip. Similarly with the red pill genre. So if you've got the red pilling giving advice, and then to young men, and you've got this person last night who was giving advice, where are the role models for young men on the positive side? Again, this goes back to counter programming, right? It's not women's job to fix us, fellas. It's our job to fix us. And she's calling it out here.
That feeling sets in. It doesn't take much to activate it. All it requires is a story that explains who took something from you, why you feel this way, and how to get it back. And that's where this shifts from emotion into identity. At a certain point, it stops being about how people feel and starts becoming about who they are. It's the women, actually. So I realized at a certain point in all of this reading and stuff that the framework that I was using, which was like status, loss, resentment, and emotion, it wasn't actually nearly enough to explain what I was looking at, because there's kind of just the surface. Are you having trouble?
Yeah, the surface, status loss. That's the big one. Part of the push about immigration, I'll get back to this in just a second. Part of the push, or part of the reasons that the right so desperately supports immigration, is because they look at census data. They see the demographics shifting. They see our country becoming less and less white and more diverse, which is exactly the entire model, right? So that is a reaction to something, not in an attempt to understand it, not in an attempt to try to say, okay, society's moving, I have to keep up. The rhetoric from the right, in particular, designed towards white men is, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Well, guess who needs to do that now? That would be, due respect, fellas, mediocre white men who just expected things to remain status quo. And giving up that status is going to be difficult. No doubt about it. Listen, none of us on the left, we don't want you to work 70 hours a week. It's not a fucking flex. We want you to have health care. We don't want you to be locked into your job so that the only way you can get health care is by working 70 hours a week. We don't want you to do that. You understand? So you are falling victim to this cycle that says, I just work hard. If I work harder and I work harder, that's your status. So success in the mind of many men, especially young men, is connected to this status equals success. If you drive the fancy car, if you've got the condo in Miami, then you'll have beautiful women on your arm. Never mind learning about what they want or what they need. Instead of advising people to read books about how to be a better dater or strategies to date, read bell hooks, read Angela Davis, learn what feminism is, have an understanding of why it is that we say it's all men until it's no men, and it's all white people until it's not, and then therefore it's all white men predominantly. You know the drill.
Studies, I started to realize masculinity isn't just a social role. It's becoming a political identity. And identity works differently from belief. Beliefs can change, but identities get defended. It also doesn't exist on its own. It needs something to define itself against. And here, that something is pretty consistent. Feminism, gender equality, broader progressive change. Research shows that in these manosphere-esque spaces, feminism isn't treated as a political disagreement. It is always framed as a threat. Something that disrupts order, something that destabilizes roles and undermines authority. So equality doesn't look like inclusion, it looks like loss of status, authority, recognition, respect. Now those earlier emotions like anger, resentment, and humiliation have somewhere to go. Feminists become symbols of decline. Institutions become enforcers. Minority groups become evidence of unfair advantage. So these aren't just opinions now, they're explanations. This is why things aren't working out for you, bro. It's the women and the immigrants. Groups become stronger when they have something to define themselves against. In other words, the clearer the enemy, the stronger the identity. So then it's like masculinity stops being just identity and starts just fully being a way of seeing the world. It pulls everything together. Economic change and cultural shifts and demographic anxiety into one very simple storyline about loss and restoration. Right-wing authoritarian movements are built around ideas of strength, control, and protection, traits historically coded as masculine. And this is why tone and vibe always starts to matter more than policy. Why strongman figures feel like they're coherent and why compromise starts to look like weakness. If your worldview is built on order and strength, flexibility isn't going to feel like a virtue, is it? It's going to feel like a threat. It's going to feel like you're losing. Yeah. So then the plot thickens again. It's not just about identity. We're looking at a whole system, a way of seeing the world that links emotion, identity, and opposition into something stable and repeatable. And once that system is in place, the next question becomes somewhat unavoidable. Who belongs and who doesn't? The ideal man. In a lot of the stuff I read, masculinity isn't treated as just a vibe. It functions as a sorting mechanism. One that helps to find the ideal citizen, not just socially, but politically. Masculinity sits at the center of how these right-wing movements imagine citizenship itself. The ideal citizen isn't just law-abiding or patriotic. He's tough, and he's independent, and he's capable of protection, and he's going to save all of the useless women. And people who don't fit that mold are much more easily framed as dependents, burdens, bludgers, or even threats.
There was a moment last night after I was listening, somebody came up afterwards and challenged the host again for their thinking, and the host referred to that person as a pipsqueak, right? So I share that because, as it relates to this, because even he who says that he's anti-red pill, trying to make people better, and because this person challenged his beliefs, he immediately laid on the ad hominem attacks. He started calling him a pipsqueak. Under what conditions? Who are you to make the arbiter for that? Are you the arbiter for an alpha man? Anybody who claims to be, again, it's the same kind of people who claim to have a big wrench. Dudes who claim to have a big wrench have a little wrench. Just let's be real about that, okay? So here's where we sit, right? So we've got this pressure of the manosphere. We've got the pressure of the religious right, the evangelical right, and the nuclear family. And then we've got people who are claiming to be advice givers to men to date. And it's the same script. Go to the gym, make yourself look physically buff, get a good job, put some rings on your finger. What the fuck is that? Not once was there a conversation about what women might actually want. Maybe start with not raping women. That might help. So be careful. My advice is be careful. Just be careful who you ally yourself with. Make sure you understand exactly what it is they're talking about. If you are attempting to offer advice to young men about dating, you cannot be referring to women as girls. Full stop.
It means that belonging stops feeling automatic and becomes conditional. You don't just belong because you're part of the country or because you were born here, or because you work here, or because you pay taxes here. You belong to the extent that you embody the right traits. Right. And if those traits are gendered, so is membership. This is one of the key reasons masculinity matters so much in these movements. It doesn't merely define what a real man is, but helps define what a real citizen is, which is a much bigger claim. And it also helps explain why the rhetoric in right-wing movements so often circles around dependence and weakness and softness and decline and disorder. These aren't insults, they're boundary words. They mark who is imagined as inside the moral core of the nation and who is imagined as outside it. Now, this is also where race becomes very impossible to ignore. Yes, it's a race thing, because we're talking about America quite a lot, and it's always a race thing with those guys. The ideal citizen to these people isn't just male, he's also white and heterosexual and culturally dominant. Gender anxiety and racial anxiety are fused. The defense of masculinity often doubles as the defense of whiteness, of tradition and national purity. Now, don't get me wrong, there is some crazy sexism in a lot of different cultures, okay? But we're talking about masculinity and the right today. Maybe we'll get there another time. Also, I'm white. I'm not going to push the boat out that far.
Comments like this. White liberal chicks are destroying this country. Jim probably thinks he's a safe person. Likely.
Really get involved in everyone else's problems. I do that enough. So the nation isn't just imagined as male, it's imagined as belonging to a particular kind of man. So now masculinity, or the concept of, is doing multiple things at once. It tells people who they are, what kind of order is legitimate, and who belongs at the center of it. Now that's all very comforting if you have no idea what's going on. What makes this politically effective is that exclusion gets reframed as protection. Hierarchy stops looking like some sort of preference and starts feeling like common sense. But ideas like this don't sustain themselves on their own. They have to be circulated, they have to be repeated, they have to be reinforced. What they need is systems.
Systems. Because men are subs. We need to be told what to do. We think we're all leaders, but we're not. Women are leaders.
How does something that begins as a feeling move outward into ideology, into community, into political formation? One of the biggest misconceptions is that these ideas simply emerge on their own as a kind of diffuse cultural anxiety, but they don't. They are distributed through platforms, podcasts, influencers, memes, group chats, entire online ecosystems that package politics in forms that don't initially look political at all. The worldview arrives dressed as health, fitness, dating advice, confidence, self-improvement. But hell, these young men are lost and they enter these spaces looking for advice. That's such a chill and acceptable thing to do. But gradually they encounter narratives that frame feminism and equality as anti-male. They promote narrow and aggressive definitions of masculinity, alongside the idea that gender equality has come at men's expense. Honestly, no one logs on thinking, I'm going to get radicalized today. They're going to get me. But if the message is, you feel lost for a reason, society doesn't value men anymore, the system is working against you, then the shift from self-help to grievance to ideology is it's almost seamless at that point. This is how politics gets smuggled in. Researchers and reporting show how influencers and podcasters become de facto role models for masculinity. And it's not just through what they say, because a lot of what they say is just insane, but it's through the tone that they set. It's anti-establishment, hyper-confident, distrustful of institutions. I'm so smart, I'm a man. What's being distributed isn't just content, it's a way of being. And the scale of this is absolutely enormous. According to the Movember Foundation, 2/3 of young men regularly engage with masculinity influences online.
Just that stat again, real quick. I'm just going to read this piece to you. This is again according to the manosphere. I'm sorry, not the manosphere, but Movember, which is a mental health movement that happens in and around November, No Shave November, etc. Nearly 2/3 of the young men in our study regularly engage with men and masculinity influencers. Far from being a fringe subculture, this content is mainstream when it comes to both its themes, fitness, financial success, relationships, and its reach. I think about that scene, in case you haven't seen Inside the Manosphere yet, I won't spoil it for you, but Sneeko, who is one of the prominent voices in the Manosphere movement, when he's out on the street being interviewed, he is surrounded by young men, so excited to see him. When I say young men, I'm talking high school age, teenage boys, right? And surrounded by them. So people in that subculture, not even subculture anymore, it's mainstream. That's the point, are just look at him as an idol, Yeah, middle school age and up. So again, nearly 2/3 of young men in our study regularly engage with men and masculinity influencers. Far from being a fringe subculture, this content is mainstream when it comes to both its themes, fitness, financial success, and relationships. So they all start off as a grift, right? It's an opportunity to earn money. If you want fame, fortune, pretty girls on your arm, they usually refer to them as girls. You want the condo in Miami Beach. You want the chiseled body. You want the Rolex on your wrist. You convince people early on through the grift, right, for financial success. And then once you've hooked them, then it becomes, well, part of this success is that you're the alpha. You can cheat on your wife, but she can't cheat on you. You can have numerous partners simultaneously, but she can't. You can make sure that she stays in the kitchen to make a sandwich because you need her to do all the women's stuff so that you can go out there and be an alpha. And as we discuss often, where is the counter programming? To reminding young men that vulnerability is something that's necessary. Honesty, integrity, sincerity, kindness, vulnerability. From everything that I've read and studied recently, those are qualities that women want. I'm not going to speak for you, but that's what I've read. And yet that is counter-programming from the manosphere and from people like our host last night and from the Movember Foundation when they find that 2/3 of young men are regularly influenced by masculine influencers. That's scary.
Of young men regularly engage with masculinity influences online. So these conversations are just happening through the feed. And the feed isn't neutral, by the way. It rewards intensity, conflict, certainty, the exact conditions that these ideas thrive in. Trust me, I know. At the far end, even aggression can be reframed as meaningful, as a legitimate assertion of manhood. These ideas are being refined and amplified through systems designed to capture attention and shape perception. So masculinity isn't just something people believe, it's something they inhabit. A media environment that structures how the world is interpreted. So these ideas are spread far and wide. But what do they start to produce? What is the outcome? One of the cleanest places we can see that is in voting. Unfortunately, remember Joe Rogan won that whole ass election? Donald Trump, look at this, look what he calls that one bald weird man. Yeah, self-help to soft fascism.
Hi, I'm JT and I made
Joe Rogan. Powerful voice, extremely powerful voice.
Across Western democracies, there is a growing gender gap. I've done videos on this before, but younger men are more conservative while younger women are going the total opposite direction. Mm-hmm. And this isn't really about policy. I think if people actually read policy, we wouldn't be here. It's all about identity. People aren't voting from their bank accounts. They're voting from who they believe themselves to be. This explains why voting behavior can look...
I don't entirely agree with that statement that people aren't voting from their bank accounts because it's always about the economy. But I like the way she implies because it's like there's a perception. So I think again, strictly my opinion, and I'd be curious as to what other people think. The lure of that level of success, even though knowing that they're not, well, maybe they don't know, they don't realize, they believe that they're going to get there. Like if I support this movement, I'll get that too. If I support this far right rhetoric, then I will get invited to Mar-a-Lago, or I'll be sitting in the front seat of that Ferrari or that Porsche or whatever that might be. But we certainly know that that's not the case. So yeah. So there's a lure there, right?
Contradictory, and because it kind of is sometimes, people support policies that don't benefit them. They stay loyal despite failures, and they dismiss opposing facts. From a rational standpoint, it looks insane and illogical, but from an identity model, it does make sense. Because it's not about, does this help me? It's about, does this represent me? And masculinity plays a huge role in that. Leaders who project strength, dominance, they certainly feel legitimate. Messages that resonate aren't technical, they're only emotional. Like when Trump says they're laughing at you, that's not a policy, that's recognition. People are loyal not to policy, but they're loyal to their identity. People are loyal to their sense of self. So when someone's actually voting, they're not choosing a policy, they're acting out their worldview. What has happened, though, is these voting patterns have consistently caused harm to to others, not necessarily to white guys. But I mean, look around.
Yeah.
The world is on fire. These ideas...
Actually, it has harmed white guys significantly, right? Keep in mind, liberal-leaning policies benefit everybody. You know, everybody getting access to healthcare, mental health care, better education system, tax breaks for the middle class workers, a raise in the minimum wage, access to housing, access to capital, a court that allows for the progression of rights and not rights being removed. And that's the danger of what the matriarchy or the patriarchy, in my perspective, and the manosphere has done, is it's convinced men that those things aren't good. That for some reason you shouldn't be supporting programs that help other people, because what about yours? If it means you're going to get less, then fuck everybody else. And we see it all the time when I ask that simple question, right? I know I'm very bright. I don't know what happened. It's weird. It's strange. The setups. Anyway, where was I? I don't remember. Lost my train of thought. But it's this system convincing people for some. When I ask the question about food as a right, when I say to people. I'm enlightened. Yes, I need the halo. Apparently, no. A couple of dents in my halo, but that's okay. When I ask people the question, like, is food a right? People don't say that. They genuinely don't think food is a right, because they've been convinced that you have to work to acquire it. Right? Like you're not entitled to anything. Do you remember the theme of our show yesterday? Why do we settle for things? In our country, we've been conditioned to believe that healthcare is a benefit bordering on luxury. Access to a good education system is a benefit bordering on a luxury. In fact, when you are recruiting people, anybody who works in corporate America, when you are hired, you get your benefits package, right? We take these things for granted or we don't demand more. Why do we fucking settle? And I think the script of the patriarchy and the manosphere and the influences of right-wing, especially religious rhetoric, tells us that we're not worthy of these things. We deserve healthcare. We deserve the best education system in the world. Being part of the Sinjay's Live yesterday, I had some great questions from our European audience. And that's the theme. Like, if the United States, right? The richest country ever. Why do we not have the world's envy healthcare system? The world's educational system? Why don't we have the best infrastructure in the world? The reason that we don't, in my opinion, is because we've been told that either we don't deserve it, or what's worse, we can't afford it. And because the people pulling the strings will tell us that, well, we can't do that here, the country's too big, or preying on the impulses of Americans to say that, yeah, it's fine. I'm totally fine with paying more and having less. Okay. That's a problem.
Have created real consequences. People are loyal not to policy, but they're loyal to their identity. People are loyal to their sense of self. So when someone's actually voting, they're not like choosing a policy, they're acting out their worldview. What has happened, though, is these voting patterns have consistently caused harm to others, not necessarily to white guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, look around. The world is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
These ideas have created real consequences. Girls can't get abortions where they live because some guy felt embarrassed somewhere about something and voted for fucking Donald fucking Trump. One thing I've noticed is this. When men are spoken to about privilege, what they often hear is everything is easy for you. So when things aren't easy, when they struggle, when things don't work out, it doesn't just feel difficult, it feels embarrassing. It's like unfair, like they've somehow failed at something they were told should come naturally. When they hear that things can be harder for women, it can sound less like context and more like dismissal, as if their own struggles don't count at all. But what's missing from that entire conversation is something so simple, is that things are actually hard for all of us, genuinely. I used to be able to support a family by working at my dad's small business. Yeah, we all are upset that that's gone. The system we're living under doesn't really work in any of our favor. It produces insecurity and pressure and a constant sense of instability. A lot of people feel powerless right now, and that's because, guess what? We are! There are people and institutions that benefit from that powerlessness. And more importantly, they benefit from turning it sideways, from making people blame each other instead of looking up. Hierarchy won't save you from that system. It won't protect you from the people who exploit you. It won't save you from your oppressors. It will just turn you into one of them. Women having equal opportunity doesn't take anything away from you, but it's easy to believe that it does because that's exactly the kind of story that keeps people divided. And that's where this obsession with masculinity and order becomes useful because it makes people easier to organize, easier to direct, and easier to control. It's how you get people.
Because men are subs, by and large. That's why we make good soldiers. That's why we make good line workers. Men need to be told what to do, and they don't want to admit it. We just don't want to admit it. It's not that it doesn't mean that there can't be men that are good leaders out there. That's not the point. But by and large, they need a movement. They need something to follow. They are unwilling to step out on their own to challenge conformity. It's like the comfortable socks, right? It's hard to change those socks if they're super comfortable. You don't want to be challenged. Like this host last night just refused to be challenged. That's weakness. That's not strength. That's weakness. That's petty bullshit. That's being stuck. They need a task. You're right. They're being stuck, right? And I'm an advocate for men's mental health. I absolutely am. They do need a mommy to instruct them. They certainly do. I'm an advocate for men's mental health, but I look at the next generation, as she pointed out in this clip. We're listening to. We find out why the title of this is. We find out why the right is so obsessed with masculinity. This creator is dangerously informed. Evie. Good follow on YouTube. We see this all the time. It's nothing new. The danger of the patriarchy and the danger of the influence of the red pill space. Where is that counter-programming again? When you've got these two separate groups, you've got people who claim to be in the anti-red pill, but yet they're influenced by the matriarchy or the patriarchy as well. They're buying into some of the bullshit, right? See, speak for yourself. You are like a woman. Okay, JC. Okay, that's cool. Good to know. That's a compliment. Thanks. You're telling me I'm like a woman? Thank you. Appreciate that. That's a compliment. I love that. Appreciate you. And then you've got the full-on manosphere. So where is the counter-programming for our young men? As she points out, young men are remaining conservative. That's the influence of Turning Point USA, right? Don't forget, members of thank you, Paige. Members of Turning Point now are calling, or people who are attending CPAC. A lot of them said that they went to the CPAC conference because they're tired of fucking old white dudes trying to drive the political agenda. So they're full-on groypers, or they're full-on Turning Point USA sycophants, right? So where is the counter-programming? Women have decided this is ridiculous. Women are becoming more and more liberal. Women are becoming more and more progressive. Women are achieving more. But we're all still stuck in the system, and young men are being told that the only way you will achieve, or I should say, to achieve, requires you to be fucking pigs, quite frankly. So men have to help men. It's not on women to fix us, for sure.
People to turn on their neighbors instead of questioning their bosses. It's how you get people to defend the shitty conditions they're living under instead of challenging them. It's how you get people to fight for their position in the system instead of asking who built it and who it actually serves. So I started with a question. Why is the right so obsessed with masculinity? At first, it's easy to treat it as a cultural quirk, or just honestly, I'm always down to just be a bitch to the men. I could just do that. But after working through the research across political science and sociology and media and stuff, and also kind of going crazy, something different pops out. What looks like an obsession with masculinity is actually a system for organizing power. Masculinity isn't just being expressed, it's being used. It's being used to organize emotion, to construct identity, to define enemies, and to justify authority. And ultimately, to shape how people see themselves and how they vote. Masculinity, especially in its more traditional hierarchical forms, becomes a way of stabilizing a world that feels increasingly unstable. Underneath it all is a desire for order, for control, for a sense of place in something that still makes sense, for belonging. And right now, a lot of people feel like they've lost that. That's what makes all of this so effective. It offers a simple explanation for all of this instability and a clear direction for the frustration that comes with it. Not upward, but outward. The truth is, these are complex and convoluted world issues. They're not going to be solved because we put women back in the kitchen. If you like this video, make sure you check out my other...
So again, the creator is Dangerously Informed with Evie. I like her. I like stylistically the way in which she talks about these topics. So I've been following her for a while, and every once in a while these videos come up and they're timely. I wasn't even necessarily planning on playing this today, but based on this conversation I had last night and just the constant discussions we try to have in here about the dangers of the patriarchy. Don't forget, obviously, the patriarchy is incredibly damaging and harmful to women, but it's also incredibly damaging and harmful to men. And I don't think men yet have evolved yet enough to be able to understand that. So that's my hope. But where is the counter programming? We have to discuss that. And we can't be afraid to have that conversation. Geraldo, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Can
you hear me?
Hear you.
Yep.
I can now.
Hold
yeah.
on. Okay.
I got you.
Hi. I was coming on. I wanted to talk because one thing that happened to me is I had somebody who was like really pissed off with me that I was just such a nice guy or something. I know that's a weird thing to say, but he was, and he was calling me all these names and all that. And the thing is, a couple of days ago, I had gotten in an accident.
Hey, Geraldo, can you try to stand still, bro? Because you got a ton of background noise, my friend. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got in an accident a couple of days ago, a little bike accident, and you know. I got hurt, and I was laughing it off because it was kind of funny to me because of what happened. But the same dude who was like on about me about being such a nice guy and like being really just rude got in not as severe of an accident, but he was like all crying all about it and all that. And it's just like, so who's really more masculine is like. I'm just trying to be a nice person and trying to do things. You are trying to be mean to me.
I don't think I understand the point you're trying to make. Geraldo, you got it. You either got to stand still or call me back when you can. Okay.
Sorry,
okay.
Seem to be breaking up. Can you hear me?
No, it's just that you got a ton of background noise. Can you just stand still, maybe?
Yes.
Maybe just stand still. Okay, thank you. Don't move. That's fine.
Yep.
So the question I have for you is what is the point you're trying to make here?
My point is you get some of these people that are, say they're masculine and all that, and they're just complete assholes and all that. But when something bad happens to them, they're all crying about it and woe is me and all that. But the guys who just try to live their lives like me and just go throughout their day. When something bad happens, we laugh it off, it happened, and go through our day.
Okay. So are you calling out bad behavior when you see bad behavior from men?
Yes. I absolutely do. I said, yes. The dude who was I was talking about, I straight up told him, like, you can't be that way, like, because it's just not a good way to go through life.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for jumping in today, Geraldo. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Nope.
I don't know what that was, but that's fine. No problem. Anyway, to summarize, right, as we discuss on Free Speech Friday, and I want to hear from folks today. Please request up if you have not yet joined us. If you're just finding us here, this is our backup. Don't know what happened to the main this morning. I'm sure we'll get it back. There was no warnings. There's no flags in general. But if you want to if there's something on your mind, whatever it might be, we can talk Iran, we can talk politics, we can talk geopolitics, we can talk the economy. Don't forget, BLS numbers were released this morning, and the inflation rate spiked to 3.3%. That is way the fuck up there. It went up almost a point from last month. Energy costs alone up 12.5%. All this winning, right? All this winning. Okay. Yeah, again, the report. Hang on a second. I don't want to co-host it. Consumer price index for all urban consumer, the CPI, increased 0.9% on a seasonally adjusted basis in March after rising 0.3% in February. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today over the last 12 months, the all items index increased 3.3% before a seasonal adjustment. The all items rose 3.3% for the 12 months ending in March after rising 2.4% for the 12 months ending in February. The all items less food and energy index rose 2.6% over the year. The energy index increased 12.5% for the 12 months ending in March. The food index increased 2.7% over the last year. All that winning is crazy. Maribel, how are you today?
Hello, good morning. Hey, so I just wanted to give you I live in Arizona, and we had this SRP voting, which SRP here is for water and electric. And Turning Point USA was trying to take over and put in people that they wanted to put in. Mm-hmm. And typically for SRP, it's not for everybody to vote. It's just for homeowners and people that have bigger properties. They get so many votes per acre, blah, blah, blah. So even if I'm like in a home, my house, I'm owning it, and it's me and my husband on the deed, we are both 1/2 of a vote, which is really crazy. Anyways, point being, Turning Point tried to take over, try to put people in to take over the grid, take over, and essentially just to make us pay more, put more money in their pocket. And April 7th on Tuesday was the voting, and Arizona, Maricopa County actually burned Turning Point out and threw them out of it. It was amazing. I'm actually tearing for it right now because the Republican state that we're in, it's very scary.
It is.
Thankfully, we didn't allow Turning Point to take over, which was great.
That is great. I mean, again, that's the pushback. These are the things that are happening on the ground that a lot of people don't talk about, which is why we try to bring up these special elections and why it's important to take back state houses across the country and why we're trying to protect the vote. Keep in mind, there are nefarious actors that are county clerks across the country that may have an involvement in our elections this year. We have to be aware, friends. We have to be aware. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. I appreciate you for being here today.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Be safe out there. You got it. Take care. I'll use this opportunity just to kind of play our sounder. We're going to do this every day because I've been encouraged to do so. Honest. A lot of people in this country are tired. Not just busy tired. I mean soul tired. Tired of working hard and still feeling like they're falling behind. Tired of watching the news and feeling powerless. Tired of hearing promises every election season and then watching nothing change. And if you've ever felt like your vote doesn't matter, like your voice doesn't count, I want you to know something. You're not alone, and you're not wrong for feeling that way. Because when you feel ignored long enough, you stop believing anyone is listening. And when you stop believing anyone is listening, you stop showing up. But here's what I've learned in my life. The moment that good people stop showing up is the moment the wrong people take over the room. That's why I'm launching something called the Do Something Tour. Not because I think I have the answers, not because I'm here to tell anyone what to think, but because I believe we're losing something precious in this country, and that's our faith in each other. I'm going to travel the country to sit down with people who feel forgotten, people who feel dismissed, people who feel like the system is built for someone else. And I'm going to listen. I want to hear what broke your trust. I want to hear what you've lived through. I want to hear what you wish the people in power actually understood about your life. Because the truth is, democracy is not a speech. It's not a slogan. It's not something that happens once every 4 years. Democracy is people. It's parents trying to keep their kids safe. It's workers trying to keep food on the table. It's communities trying to stay whole. It's people who don't want to be a headline. They just want to be okay. And I know this. If we want change, we can't just hope for it. We have to participate in it. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to know every issue. I'm not asking you to trust politicians. I'm asking you to trust your own worth. To remember that your voice matters, even if it's been ignored. To remember that your vote matters, even if it hasn't felt like it has. And to remember that your presence matters, because this country belongs to you, too. So this is my invitation. Come back in, not because the system deserves you, but because your community does. Your kids do. Your future does. This is the Do Something Tour. And if you've ever felt powerless, I want you to hear me clearly. You still have power. So, let's do something. Together. Please go to the link. It's in the link tree in my bio. You can find the Instagram page to the Do Something Tour. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning. By the way, how's Sonia doing?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Sonia and I ran into a technical glitch yesterday.
Okay.
Yes. So we're working through said technical glitch.
Okay. Love is hard. No, just kidding. People, Sonia is not a real human being. This is an inside joke.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So I was listening and I started thinking, I don't know if we've talked about this or not. We probably have. But there are a lot of eerie similarities between these supposed men that teach other men about dating and the evangelical movement, right? They set up this myth, right, that has nothing, for evangelicals, is nothing based in biblical fact. And I put that in big fucking quotes, right? They reinterpret, misinterpret, right? And these guys that teach men how to date, it's the same thing. They create this myth, right? And that only they have the crystal ball to show you the solution. And in doing so, they create the exact same kind of cult mentality, right? And the reason why there's this allure, I think, has also a lot to do with parenting. There seems to be this generation of men that weren't told a whole hell of a lot, or that perhaps, and it's not a discipline thing, but it's did their parents ever talk to them about the basics of being a human? Like, it's okay to feel feelings. It's okay to cry. It's okay to express yourself, right? Because maybe from our generation to the next two, we've gone too far, right? Because our generation was fucking suck it up, quit being a pussy, rub some dirt on it, walk it off, real men don't cry, to red pill. Like, it's a really big, huge swing. And one that I'm sure somebody's written books about, or there's academic studies about. But I find it interesting that the tactics are exactly the same. Evangelical ministers prey on persons who are desperate for something, right? And then what always happens? They're promised something, right? And what is that thing that they're promised, right? Is prosperity, right? And what do these men promise these young guys? Prosperity. Because there's no adult around them telling them, hey, the only reason why this fucking guy has supposedly this car and supposedly this house is because they're grifting you. You're the mark, right? And I wonder if, as men who should be fixing men, if we don't also have a responsibility in some way to start talking about, you've been grifted. This is not real. These things that you think you're participating in, these lessons that you think you're learning, aren't based in any reality, right? It's all based in a myth. And for some reason, you were vulnerable enough to want to believe in this myth, and yet at the same time, not vulnerable enough to understand your feelings or your ability to express them. It's probably a great Amy Dawn conversation, but
probably
it would be bat signal sent out. It would be interesting, right, to look at the grift of the mythology that's being presented and how they expose that vulnerability and then exploit it. Because when you were talking about how that guy couldn't take any constructive criticism or the sandwich, if you will, his only reaction was based on anger and feelings.
Correct.
But not able to express how they felt. Always a reaction, never a conversation, right?
Exactly. And again, if we're talking about spheres of influence, right? And if you want to be, and he's a published author, right? And if you can't take critiques of your book, or if you can't take critiques in real time, like you can't take critiques if you are, putting yourself out there publicly, then you're going to be bothered if you get a critique from your book. Long story short, we've got to be willing to have these difficult conversations, and men just aren't. So, but thank you for your perspective on that. Dude. I appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, and I'll talk to you later today.
You got it, man. See you later. Peace. It's a fair point, right? It's a very fair point. It's about environments more than anything else. So I want to play this sound because apparently. Hang on 1 second. Let me thank a few people. Kristen, thank you so much. She says, let's do something together. Thank you, Steve. Your work is incredibly meaningful to me. So here's the contribution. Thank you, Kristen. That's very kind of you. I appreciate you very, very much. In case you are just joining us today, we got some new inflation numbers out, and Pete Buttigieg is doing the round. He goes on Squawk Box with Joe Kernan quite a bit. Apparently this is an interesting interaction. I will just play it for you.
I understand that. And look, I'm saying this as somebody who knows what it's like to be sent to war by a U.S. president. And when a president sends you to war, when you and your buddies are on that gray tail plane going into a war zone, you do it with some level of confidence, some level of assurance that your chain of command, all the way up to the President of the United States, would not do this if they didn't have a choice. Now that we're there, do you hope this has a successful outcome? There were 40,000 Iranians that were slaughtered by the same regime. 47 years of killing Americans, stirring trouble all around the world. And how do you feel about that regime being left intact by this president? I don't know if that's going to be the case, and I don't know what might happen.
That's a good point.
Is that an argument?
So you don't want this to work, and it was just a bad move. You want us to pull out now. Look, there's no obvious way out now, but I want to make sure that this ends in a way that, first of all, our economy can recover, that we're not paying so much for gas. I mean, right now, oil's $100, jet fuel's $200, gas is over $4, diesel's like $5.50. You averaged $3.80 under Biden for 4 years. Yeah, and when we left,
what about Biden? What about Biden? For those of you in the back, what about Biden?
Inflation was lower than it is today.
You accounted for 21.5% pricing.
This president took the inflation rate up. This president took the inflation rate up. It's more than 3% year on year. You saw the numbers just come out. It's more than 3% year on year.
Okay.
Isn't it? Am I core mistaken?
It is. The math is direct.
Okay.
Look, it
fluctuates each month from 2.7 to 3%.
It's higher than when he got here,
It's
Joe.
not 9%.
His central campaign promise.
It's the fucking cope. This is absolutely a masterclass by Pete Buttigieg. It's the cope. You heard it. Well, you averaged 380 for 3 years. First of all, that's not fucking true. Let's talk about why, Joe, you don't want to do that. Remember when I had a little exchange earlier when people want to talk about the 47 years, right? And Joe Kernan is part of this as well because he knows if he starts talking about why the Iranian government and the Iranian people might have a bone to pick with the U.S., that happened long before that, right? We can go back. I did you the solid this morning, free education, right? Here's the situation. Joe doesn't want to talk about that. He can't talk about the fact that this war caused gas prices to go up. He can't talk about the fact that under Joe Biden, we had a global pandemic. Under Joe Biden, Russia invaded Ukraine. Under Joe Biden, Donald Trump's OPEC Plus deal impacted the supply chain. So miss me with your fucking bullshit. This is a direct result. The situation we are in right now is a direct result of what the president did. Plain and fucking simple. Period. Move past yourself, Joe. This little part right here is fascinating.
The president
It's
took the inflation
2.7%.
rate up.
It's 2.7%.
It's more than 3% year on year. You saw the numbers just come out.
This is from this morning.
It's more than 3% year on year.
3.3%.
Isn't it? Am I mistaken?
It is.
Sorry?
The math is direct. The math is the math.
Look, it
fluctuates each month from 2.7 to 3%.
It's higher than when he got here,
It's
Joe.
not 9%.
His central campaign promise was he was going to take inflation and drive it down,
man.
and instead he
It's
took
not
inflation and it's up.
9%. I thought in the Fed
It was
obviously-
3 when he got here, and now it's more. It
Well, it's
could
around-
not be simpler than that.
It's around 3, and we're involved in a war.
He
with
said
a
on
straight-
day one it would go down.
It's 3.3, Joe. Do you hear this fucking cope? This is from Squawk Box on CNBC. Can you hear the cope? Let's real quick. Let's just check the inflation numbers. I'm just curious. Let's see. At the end of Joe Biden's administration, which was the last full month under Joe Biden, was December of 2024. Correct? Yeah. The inflation rate was 2.9%. It is now 3.3%. Last time I checked, 3.3% is more than 2.9%. So there's that. More of the sound.
Take inflation and drive it down, and instead he
It's
took
not
inflation and it's up.
9%. I thought in the Fed
It was
obviously-
3 when he got here, and now it's more. It
Well, it's
could
around-
not be simpler than that.
It's around 3, and we're involved in a war.
He
with a
said on
straight-
day one it would go down. He came in on day one, and now it's up.
It's up to 3%. It was 21.5%.
It's 3.3%, Joe. Don't give us a 21.5%. Don't do this fucking bullshit comparison fallacy garbage. It's not around 3. It's 3.3%. And Joe, energy costs are up 12.5%. Period.
And price
promised
increases
it would go
over
down,
4
and it
years. Over 4 years, it was 21.5%.
He promised it would go down.
Democrats own the affordability
Here
crisis.
we go.
Period.
Why did the president fail to keep his
You don't think Democrats own the affordability crisis?
Why did the president fail to keep his promise to lower prices, in your opinion?
I'm laughing because this piece of it is basic. The president did say that he wanted to be in office to bring inflation down, and he has not brought inflation down. That's all.
He drove it up. He not only failed, he drove it up.
Mr. Secretary, let's talk
Tariffs
a little bit.
have had a minimal effect.
You tell a family where I live that $1,000 per household is minimal.
From the 21.5% increase that the Democrats.
No,
That's not an inflation rate. Just to be very clear, friends, we're talking about price escalation. We're not talking about the rate. He's trying to say it was 21.5% under Joe Biden. It wasn't. What about Biden? This is massive fucking cope. This is massive fucking cope. What else have they got to do? What else do they have? We're losing jobs. The president went out on True Social and bragged about the job numbers for February or March. Never mind, the correction was 177,000 jobs down, so it's flat. No job growth. No job growth. He promised you that he was going to end the war in Ukraine. Period. He promised you he's going to end the war in Gaza. Period. He promised you no new wars, period. He promised you he was going to end inflation. He still talks about it. There is no inflation. And Joe Kernan is scrambling. And Pete Buttigieg is calling him out, and he's got nowhere to fucking go with it.
We can argue all day about just how bad COVID was and how bad it got and what it took to come back from that. But you call it $1,000. Where I live, $1,000 per household isn't minimal.
Now Democrats found religion on inflation. After presiding over the worst inflation in 40 years, now you found religion.
It's 2026.
Wow.
They're in charge.
They're in charge.
I'm aware of that.
What are you going to do differently?
Look,
what are you going to do differently to make the prices actually go down like you promised?
Number one, we got to get through this war, and you've heard people.
We got to get through this war. We didn't have to be fighting this war.
Correct.
What are we doing?
That's a matter of opinion. You can't say that.
It's a matter of opinion that I share with most Americans.
Correct.
And a large number of Republicans and a whole bunch of MAGA people who bought into this president because they actually believe that he said he wouldn't get us into a war.
75% Republican approval for the war.
You don't start with the approval you have within your own party, but the point is the MAGA coalition.
Democrats aren't going to approve of anything.
I'm talking about Americans. Americans disapprove of the president and their right to do so.
Correct.
He's got the same approval rating other presidents have had at this point in the term.
No,
a little bit above
45%. Fucking not. It's the lowest. That is a bold-faced fucking lie. Even within his own party, we've seen his approval ratings dip. He's at like 32% on the national average. It's the lowest ever. The modern president, the lowest ever. And he is fucking desperate. Man, this is wild.
Right now is unpopular for very good reasons. One of which is
no
that
more
he's made
unpopular
life
than
more
Obama was
expensive.
or Biden was at the same term of at the same point of his presidency.
That depends on which poll you're looking at.
True.
But by and large, no. I'm sorry, but like
It's not true.
I've been on the trail. I was in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. Marjorie
It's
Taylor
not true.
This is a Trump plus 38 district. Or it was.
I know
We
the
had
numbers.
500 people.
You'll get a chance to prove that in November this year.
Okay. We had a chance to prove it last week.
The Senate might go. I understand that.
Yeah, because people are
Presidents make difficult decisions, obviously.
Yeah, but usually they make difficult decisions to try to make other people better off. This president's made decisions to make himself better off. That's definitely happened. If you're the kind of person who can pay $1 million for the entry fee to Mar-a-Lago, then you're doing great. But everybody.
You heard it. That is the cope right there. Every possible thing to try to pivot. What about what it was under Joe Biden? What about what it was here? Democrats didn't care about affordability then. Joe Kernan is not a dumb person. And he's on there with Andrew Sorkin. The math is the maths, right? 3.3%. Inflation has gone up since the president took power. He did not have to do a goddamn thing. He could have won the election. He could have booked a tea time for Mar-a-Lago every single day. He could be playing golf in Bedminster. He could be traveling the country, going to glazing fests, left shit alone, not invaded Iran, not made these fucking promises, released the Epstein files, although he'd never do that. And things would have progressed, right? But nope, couldn't do that. That would be just too much to ask. Too much to ask. Is it Tor?
Yes, sir. Or Torho. That works too.
Good morning.
Good morning, man. I swear I'm going to fucking clip you and make a labubu with a pull string saying, "What about that?" I have to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to look into that. Anyways, I have two tangents to go on to because I can't believe I was at a fucking No Kings protest about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I forgot. And it's been 20 years when I was in another country protesting another fake populist, namely in Venezuela protesting Chavez. And it's a tangent. It's a bit of a tangent, but it's about the script. It's a script of authoritarianism. You know how at some point he took a turn where he was talking about Fidel Castro, idolizing Fidel Castro, and it kind of ties into Trump idolizing Orban. It's the same fucking script. And this is anecdotal, but I would walk into a municipality and see posters of Fidel and Osama bin Laden, amongst others. And I wish I had some proof about it, but it was everybody dressing in red and everybody idolizing them. And the posters would read something about, okay, the moment they touch Venezuelan ground, they would, be automatic citizens and would have to be deferred all the honors in the world. So that's my first tangent. And I've been waiting a few weeks to talk to you about this. You mentioned it about 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry, I couldn't request at the time. The other tangent is it's about healthcare, and again, if you allow it. Other than that, I'll drop. But if you allow it, it's about counter programming it a little bit in my head, because when I was younger, I was sold healthcare as something that you need, now that you better have but don't need, than not have and need. So that was the programming, and when I was younger, that kind of makes sense, right? But you can say that about fucking anything. You can say that about water, right? It's something that is better to have and not need than not have and need. Or you can say that about guns, if you will, right? In some context. You can say that about fucking anything, but it's that programming. And it was only years, decades after, when I actually had to pay for healthcare and understand what the fucking out-of-pocket is, or deductible, or why we can have coverage or full coverage, but have copays instead, that I got to understand, I don't fucking need this. I already pay for this. It should be, it's not an entitlement. It's something I'm paying into the system for, right? And it should be a right.
I hate the word entitlement. I hate the word entitlement.
Yeah. So that's the programming was when I was younger. It was, hey, that makes sense, right? Something it's better to have and not need than not have and need. No, that's fucking wrong, right?
You're right.
Yeah. And that's all I had to say. That part of the counter programming when it comes to healthcare could be, hey, no, that's how it's being sold to you. We need it. We need the third party. We need the insurance companies. I don't think so. I think we have everything we need. I think it could cost us less, and everybody else is fucking doing it. Why can't we? That's all I have to say today.
You're right. Thank you, friend, for being here today. I appreciate you very much. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. No problem.
It's a fair argument, and I think as we talk about messaging, right? There is a message on the affordability side, the economic argument side of a universal health care system that I've been trying to figure out. What does that message look like? Like, I don't give a shit. We were joking yesterday in our MAGA hunting chat that Patriot Healthcare, the new Trump healthcare plan, whatever the fuck it is, I don't give a fuck what it's called. I really don't care. I don't care. And I believe it's talk about from a messaging perspective, we have a health insurance issue, because I don't want that the roundtable that I went to with my senator earlier this week, there was a nurse there attempting to treat one of her patients, and then her patient blamed her for his healthcare situation. That's good. That's not good. So I don't want nurses or care providers or whomever to be blamed for this. So yes, it's a healthcare crisis because the health insurance industry is predatory. So we'll have to make sure that we're addressing that. But to his point, why can't we have it? And going back to the theme of our live yesterday, when we talk about why do we settle for shit because we're told we have to. That, again, benefits, luxuries, no, they're fucking human rights. So again, messaging, right? Don't forget the promises. You heard Joe Kernan trying to defend this bullshit, and you've got real life impact. So I'll play you a little sound. This is an expose, just a little brief sort of story from CNN. This is about Iowa farmers.
This is not just a temporary blip. This is not something that farmers can work around. No one anticipated that we would have a shock to the system. All the experts did not see this coming when we see this rise in fertilizer prices because of this war. And really, no one's really seeing a way out.
That shock to the system means that diesel now is more than $5 a gallon, and fertilizer costs are up more than 30%, adding thousands of dollars of new costs to already strained farmers we met, like Aaron Lehman.
When something like this happens, farmers just have to take the hit somehow and find a way to get a crop in the ground this year.
President Trump's trade policies and tariff whiplash have made it far more uncertain to sell soybeans and corn. Another worry as a new season of planting begins.
We get one chance to plant, and we get one chance to harvest, and that's it for the year. So we get one try every single year. And so even like in my lifetime, I might get 30 tries at this. That really puts things into perspective. Like, I only, the prices of fertilizer, seed, whatever, could go crazy, but we can't not plant. We still have to go out and plant the crop
And now the Strait of Hormuz may be more than 7,000 miles away from Iowa, but even with the fragile ceasefire, what's happening there is having a direct ripple effect here. The question, will it impact the midterm elections?
I think farmers are becoming more and more aware is that you need to say to our elected leaders, what are you saying about the fertilizer situation? What are you saying about the trade situation? Are we going to stand up to these things that are hurting us, or are we not?
You know, the rural America, for the most part, for the large part, votes conservative, right? So the empath in me, this is a fucking battle. Feeling bad for farmers, but yet it's the perpetuation of the same thing. Like, to continue to vote for this. What else do we have to say to support their vote other than racism, bigotry, misogyny? I don't know. But when you lost family farms back in 2018, right? You get it, Sam, right? You lose family farms in 2018, and then you get bailed out by the federal government. Same thing happens. Now the president, in expanding the new budget to justify the war machine, which is then crippling farmers. So to keep this in mind, tariffs have already damaged farming communities. We know that. More bailout money from the federal government's self-imposed because of tariffs. Now we've got diesel prices going up across the globe because of the situation that the president imposed. And here we sit, the same thing again. So it's this vicious fucking cycle. And I have a hard time feeling sorry for many, because it's the same thing. You did not learn your lesson. And so now we're in this war that's making it even worse. And now there's reporting from CNBC and from other nations or other news agencies that the U.S. has violated the ceasefire, according to the Iranian parliament. Who do we believe? The Iranian parliamentarian Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf accuses the U.S. of violating the ceasefire. He said the U.S. had violated 3 parts of Iran's 10-point proposal that President Trump had accepted as the basis for negotiations. The U.S. and Iran also appear at loggerheads over how traffic through the Strait of Hormuz should be managed. Iran's parliamentary speaker, Mr. Ghalibaf, accuses the U.S. on Wednesday of violating the 2-week ceasefire agreement. The deep historical distrust we hold toward the United States stems from repeated violations of all forms of commitments, a pattern that has regrettably been repeated once again. 3 parts of Iran's 10-point ceasefire proposal have been violated. Ghalibaf said, the violations are Israel's continued attacks on Lebanon, the entry of a drone into Iranian airspace, and the denial of the Islamic Republic's right to enrich uranium. In such situations, a bilateral ceasefire or negotiations is unreasonable. The parliamentary speaker said, President Trump said Tuesday that Iran's proposal was a workable basis for negotiations. And then Caroline Leavitt said, no, we tore this shit up. Right. Jen, you're right. I think we're all in this position where, from what Iran has reported, more of that has been true than what the president has said. So Vice President J.D. Vance said that Ghalibaf's allegations while traveling addressed the allegations while traveling. He said, ceasefires are always messy. But Vance said in response to alleged drone incursions into Iran's airspace. I think I have some of the sounds from JD. Do I still have those? Maybe I don't. I don't know. It's hard to keep it all straight these days. Everybody keep tapping, please. Hang on a sec. All right. So real quick, let me do this. So the statement I just read to you is that the Iranian parliamentarian said that, listen, the president had said that we're going to negotiate with terms connected to this 10-point proposal that we submitted, right? Caroline Leavitt said this.
Forward a 10-point plan that was fundamentally unserious, unacceptable, and completely discarded. It was literally thrown in the garbage by President Trump and his negotiating team. Many outlets in this room have falsely reported on that plan as being acceptable to the United States, and that is false. The regime acknowledged reality to the negotiating team. They put forward a more reasonable and entirely different and condensed plan to the president and his team. President Trump and the team determined the new modified plan was a workable basis on which to negotiate and to align it with our own 15-point proposal. And the idea that President Trump would ever accept an Iranian wish list as a deal is completely absurd.
Well, that's unfortunate that you'd say that, because the president in his own Truth Social post said the 10-point plan was a basis for negotiations. And now the parliamentarian within the Iranian parliament is like, we fucking violated the rules. Okay. So you got farmers saying, why the fuck did you do this to us again? You're right, Kipper. You got us saying, we told you this was going to happen. And everybody's trying to scramble. And now you got Melania coming out. The president doesn't know how to respond. He's angry on Truth Social. The entire world is melting around him. He's got this, he's gone after the safe spaces that have always been people like Tucker Carlson, people like Candace Owens, people like Alex Jones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You got Joe Kernan on CNBC Squawk Box scrambling like fucking crazy, right? And Brian Taylor Cohen chimed in on this, and I think this is Brian Tyler Cohen. Kipper, excuse me, buddy. And he's right. Here you go.
I think this is important to know. Every time I do any coverage of Trump's lunatic ramblings or screeds, I always make sure to point out the fact that, especially as we head toward midterms, folks know that this is not only on the shoulders of Donald Trump. This is the result of a Republican Party, an entire Republican Party that has emboldened him every step of the way. And so as we head toward midterms, where these people are going to go out and they're going to try and create some distance between them and a very, very, very unpopular president who is right now responsible for, a war that he promised would never happen, surging gas prices that he promised would never happen, increased costs that he promised would never happen. They're going to try to create some distance, but them trying at the 11th hour to create distance on a presidency that they have emboldened and allowed every single step of the way is not going to work. And so you've had Mike Johnson, you've had John Thune, you've had every single member of this Republican conference, except for like Thomas Massie, come out and fail to exercise the authority and the autonomy that they have as a co-equal branch of government every step of the way, because God forbid they're on the receiving end of a mean tweet. God forbid. And so now I hope people recognize that this is unbridled Republican governance in action. Like, they own all of this. It's not just Trump. It is the rest of this Republican Party. Trump isn't on the ballot in 2026. He's not going to be on the ballot in 2028. But the rest of these Republicans will, and they are just as responsible for what we're seeing right now as Donald Trump is. Because if they had one modicum of a spine, even a fraction of a vertebrae, this wouldn't happen. But every step of the way, these people have felt that it was more convenient for them to just sacrifice every ounce of their autonomy, contract every ounce of their agency over to the executive branch. And this is the natural conclusion of exactly that, where their president, who they have emboldened, is now coming out and threatening to eliminate entire civilizations. That doesn't happen without a Republican Party that fails to step up when Donald Trump is threatening Venezuela and Cuba and Greenland and Panama and Canada. This is the natural conclusion of all of that, and it wouldn't happen without a compliant Republican Party. I think this is important.
It's completely true. I mean, they are absolutely complicit in this. Absolutely complicit. And you're going to get people like Joe Kernan, you're going to get others, they're going to try to go back and rewrite history. What about Biden? They're going to rewrite history, because that's the only game that they have. Meanwhile, literally everything they claim to run on is completely blowing up in their face. No new wars, affordability crisis, releasing the Epstein files, increasing manufacturing jobs, tariffs. Here we are. C-Bar, I'm curious. You said the Dems are complicit too. Can you come up and talk to me about that? Because I'm curious as to what you mean by that. I'm trying to understand. If you talk about corporate Democrats taking money, we can have that conversation. But when you say they're complicit, I'd like to know what you mean by that, since they don't have power. So please accept my request, C-Bar. I appreciate that. I'm going to play some sound from Mr. Global, because he breaks it down. For those of you who don't follow Mr. Global on the various socials, please do so. Here you go.
Hey folks, Mr. Global here of the American Power Podcast. An update on the Iran war today, but first of all, we've lost an additional 1.3 million barrels of oil a day of oil capacity coming out of the Middle East, as we have now verified that Iran did in fact strike the east-west pipeline that runs through Saudi Arabia. And this is the pipeline that we are using to reroute some of the oil around the Strait of Hormuz. And this strike, we have confirmed, did knock 700,000 barrels a day of capacity from this pipeline. So that is gone until they can get it repaired. No word yet on how long that'll take. But in addition to that, Iran has begun striking oil production infrastructure throughout the Middle East. And we know for sure that they have knocked out 600,000 barrels of oil a day of oil production facilities just in Saudi Arabia alone. So there is our 1.3 million barrels of oil a day gone, in addition to what we had already lost. The war is escalating rapidly, it seems, as the Trump administration continues to try to get the price of oil down. Iran is now responding directly by trying to get the price of oil as high as possible. Today, they're striking oil production infrastructure in Kuwait, Dubai, and Oman, and they are aggressively attacking oil production facilities.
This was a day and a half ago. This puts us in the reason I'm playing this now is because it kind of puts us in the situation from my perspective, which is partly why the president has caved. Right? That's why. Because he can't talk about gas prices. You're going to get Joe Kernan. You mark my words. You're going to start to see messaging from the president that's going to try to go back and remind people what gas prices were like under Joe Biden. I shit you not. It's going to happen. Hang on a second. Let me do this. So let's check the EIA real quick. So as we discussed today, gas prices sit at $4.15 a gallon. That is the highest they have been since, according to the EIA, that's the highest they have been since they were $4.66 a gallon in July of 2022. Let me do this. So they're going to attempt to go back in time. And when Joe Kernan said, oh, we live with $3.80 on average for 3 years, that's not true. When Joe Biden took office, what about Biden? In January of 2024, the first full month of his administration, we can't really count January because he took office at the end of January, was $2.58 at the end of February. All right. So we know we were in the midst of C-19. We know we were coming off the OPEC Plus deal that Trump negotiated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So here we sit now. Gas prices, oil prices, the one thing the president was going to try to be able to count on with his voters, because, again, they don't want to go back in time. They don't want to be reminded that it was, the prices are now up. When Donald Trump took office at the end of, so again, his first full month in office was February of 2025. Gas prices were $3.24 a gallon. They're up $1 since then. $1. Did I not say 2021? Yeah, Biden took office in 2021. The election was in 2020. Did I misspeak on that? Anyway. And we just saw the inflation numbers come out for March. 3.3% inflation. The inflation rate spiking. The inflation rate when Joe Biden took office at the end of at the beginning of 2021, February, was 1.7%. And then we're in the midst of COVID. It spiked to a high of 9.1% in June. And then the Inflation Reduction Act was signed. Whether it's cause and effect, causation versus correlation, don't know. But ever since then, it dropped. 8.5, 8.3, 8.2, 7.7, 7.1, 6.5, 6.4, 6.5, 4.9, 4.3, 3.2, 3.7, 3.7, 3.1, 3.4, 4.1. And then at the end of 2024, the last full month of Joe Biden's presidency, which was December 2024, the inflation rate was 2.9%. It is now 3.3%. So gas prices are up. Inflation's up. Home ownership, people are being foreclosed on. We've lost Medicaid. We've lost Medicare. We've lost the ACA subsidies. We're in a war. Where's the fucking winning? That's what I want to know. Where's the winning? So let's finish this up with Mr. Global.
And like I said, I believe this is in direct response to the United States continually trying to bring down the price of oil. High oil prices is Iran's leverage in this war. Now, don't get mistaken. Oil prices on the futures market did fall below $100 a barrel, but the price for physical delivery of oil is still well over $135. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. This is only going to make those physical oil prices significantly higher. In addition to that, we've heard today from the United States and a couple of other countries that they are supposed to meet with Iranian officials in Islamabad this weekend. But Iran has come out and said, no, we're not negotiating. We are done with the United States. And then they began this full-throated assault across the Middle East right afterwards. So are they going to have negotiations or not? I don't know. A lot of stuff that happens now appears,
again, this is a little bit old, but kind of paints a picture
to be for our entertainment value and not really based on reality. They may not. Who really knows? But one thing is for sure, and that is the reality on the ground. And the impact of what is happening today in the Middle East is going to affect us for quite a while and make things significantly worse. And the U.S. government cannot hide what's happening inside the futures market for much longer. People look at the price of oil on their phone and think, oh, that's not bad. It's bad. Trust me, it's much worse than you think it is. I will keep you updated as best as I can. Don't forget to tune in and download the American Power.
The economic argument that the right, or Trump in particular, has been trying to win at, just losing. But yet there's going to be people in here that are listening today. There are people that are going to be hosting their lives, and they're going to just talk about it. Goes back to what this, the whole YouTube short that we played earlier about masculinity, and that's all they're going to focus on. That we're fucking blowing shit up. We are blowing shit up. Yeah. We're blowing shit up. We're killing them brown skinned people. They'll never rise again. Let's wipe out an entire fucking civilization. Yeah. Seriously, because that's all. What do they have left? Francis said in the chat, in their effort to own the libs, they've owned themselves, and part of it is sad. We told them. Don't forget, we were all told that if we voted for Kamala Harris, all this shit would happen. Well, we voted for Kamala Harris, so. There's that. Everybody, again, if you're just joining us, we did get, for some reason, got clapped or slapped or whatever off of the main this morning. So please, if you don't follow my backup, this is the backup channel. I'm sure we'll be back on the main come Monday morning. I'll follow the appeal and we'll be good. But just want to make sure that you guys are aware that this is our backup account. No Facts After Dark tonight. Programming note, working on putting together a live-a-thon. A 16-hour live-a-thon starting on 8 o'clock on Friday the 24th. We'll do our normal show. And over the course of the day, I want to hear voices from creators who, it's just an opportunity for me to use my privilege and share space with people who I respect immensely. Don't really know what the topics are just yet, but I want people to feel like they can have a space here to talk whatever on their mind. I want to invite women up to have these conversations, and I literally will just facilitate if necessary. I want to hear from all marginalized communities and give them a platform, and then we'll end the day with Facts After Dark. That'll be 2 weeks from today, April the 24th. That's starting at 8 o'clock Eastern time for the live-a-thon or faxathon or whatever we call it. But thank you for that. I appreciate you guys. Okay, a few other things. Since we're talking about this situation in the Gulf, let's listen to Pete Hegseth with his presser from just a couple of other days ago. And it's really, really important. You guys are really getting good at understanding the propaganda. Now, we know what's happening on the ground, right? We know that our allies are like, you guys fucking created this. The president begging, the president trying to blame everybody for not coming to his aid. So then what are you left with? You have to try to say this is justified. So for Pete Hegseth to say this is fucking wild.
Trump forged this moment. Iran begged for this ceasefire, and we all know it. As the President Truth this morning, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough.
Okay. That's fine. This is Caroline, again, talking about the Iranian regime, and Fox News themselves know that she is flat out fucking lying.
Beginning of Operation Epic Fury. President Trump stated this would be a 4 to 6 week military operation to dismantle the military threat posed by the radical Islamic Iranian regime. Thanks to the unbelievable capabilities of America's war fighters, the United States has achieved and exceeded those core military objectives in just 30.
What are those core military objectives, Caroline? What are they? Does anybody know what they are? What are they? Like, seriously, like, I'm not asking facetiously. I'm asking, what are those objectives? What are they? What are they? Because if you're basically just asking for the JCPOA 2.0, we had that. The strait was open. So what is it?
38 days.
But I will say that the president's demands, we have not reached any of those objectives. I have full confidence that the president is going to find some way to make this happen. But he said that we want to dismantle all major nuclear facilities. That has not happened. The end of uranium enrichment on the soil, they're still enriching. The transfer of the enriched uranium stockpiles out of Iran, that hasn't happened. The acceptance of intrusive international inspections, they're still not willing to do that. And they have not suspended their ballistic missiles program. They're still firing them off to stop the production of the long-range missiles. That's just a few of them on the president's proposal. The question is the president using this 2 weeks to give our soldiers a break, a rest, to see if we can get this ultimately done? We'll see.
Interesting argument. but even Fox News knows that she's fucking lying. So I've got a little sound from Megyn Kelly, because she's part of this, the messaging machine, and then I've got a couple of little, we'll poke some fun at the process. But don't forget, Megyn Kelly used to work at Fox, and she is now going off at her former network. Another person that the president has lost.
Right now, insufferable. I was there for 14 years. I've already told my audience, if I were a Fox News anchor right now, I'd know exactly what to do. Cheerlead. That's it. It's all about rah, 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 go military. That's what's patriotic. Praise the president, support the troops, support the war, day in, day out. This morning, who do they put on? Mike Pompeo to kick off the day's coverage. Lindsey Graham all over Fox News over the weekend. That it's utterly unhelpful to go like today. Obviously, I've come out and said how I honestly feel because I owe that to my audience. But today we're going to have both sides on to help people actually make up their own minds. You will not find that over on Fox News. They've got one mission, and that's to support these military groups, the military itself, and President Trump. It's just folly. It's folly, Saurabh, and it's a fool's errand too, because it's like I already did 20 years of that.
Okay. And here's Jesse Waters, doubling down. This is from last night.
We're going to just allow for a little bit of a grace period. The president says we don't even mind Iran charging tolls as long as we get a 50% cut.
Right.
He said a joint venture would be a beautiful thing. I'm not sure an Iranian toll booth with tankers, even with the U.S. kickback, is wise, but I'd rather have the Iranians taxing tankers than bombing them. I'm sure they'll hash it out at their Pakistani peace summit. It's not like we'd pay. We don't get oil from.
You see what I mean? What hope do they have? I mean, what are they going to talk about? The only thing they have to talk about is the script of military intervention and war fighters and fighter jets and Operation Midnight Hammer and Operation Epic Fury. What else are they going to talk about? Like, what else? What else are they going to talk about? They have nothing. This is the end of the MAGA movement. This is it. We are here. We are witnessing it in full fucking focus. We are here. They've got nothing other than to try to find a way to figure themselves out of this pretzel. A couple more little bits of sound, and then I might have to wrap. This is the pundit Punisher. I like. He's a comedian, and I like the way that he sort of breaks down the situation in the with the ceasefire.
We're all still having trouble with this. Let's try it again from the top. This is a victory for the U.S. because our goal from day one was for Iran to open the strait that didn't close till after we attacked, which was completely controlled by their military we had total dominance over. And it was a waterway that we could have taken over, but instead asked for help that we didn't need, but we'll remember that our allies did not give us. All because of the negotiating power of a FIFA Peace Prize recipient's threat to annihilate a civilization in order to liberate them from a regime that changed, which was not our goal, but we will take credit for, from an old man who hates us to his younger son who hates us for those reasons and that we killed his father. And while it is not clear the status of Iran's nuclear capabilities that we obliterated last year, but we're going to be a problem in 2 weeks, one thing is for sure. They now have more money and control of the strait than they had when they made the old deal that we ended because it was terrible. Now, I think that is enough about authoritarian propagandistic regimes. Does anybody have any questions about the Trump Library golden statue?
Give me 1 second here. It's not wrong, is he? Not wrong. Okay, a few more things, and then we'll wrap because I am exhausted. It's been a long week. Where is this sound? Oh, this one is. This is. Is that the one I want to play? No, that's not the one I want to play. Maybe I'll end here. Oh, let's listen to JD. Okay, this is the ceasefire, and then we will, unless anybody else wants to come up for Free Speech Friday, we'll wrap, and I'll play these little bit sound bites, and then we'll end a bit early.
Thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. Now, that said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. Well, I encourage the Iranians to come to the table seriously. We've seen some signs that they're going to do that. We've seen some signs of bravado. Fundamentally, we're in a good spot. They're reopening the straits. We have a ceasefire. And frankly, if they break their end of the bargain, then they're going to see some serious consequences.
There it is, right? So this ceasefire is not going to hold. The United States, arguably, well, according to the Iranian parliament, has already violated it. We know that the negotiator from Pakistan, who was the prime minister, said that yes, Lebanon and the United States as allies were included in this. Therefore, Israel violated the ceasefire, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Farmers are hemorrhaging again. Diesel prices are up $2 a gallon. Gas prices are up $1.50 since he took office. Inflation now it's 3.3%. But what about Biden? So there's that. I think we'll wrap there today, friends. I am exhausted. It's been a long week. Likely we'll be back on our main account Monday. Thank you for finding us over here, and thank you for following us over here. As a last reminder, if you wish to support us as we push towards our 25K target for the Do Something Tour, at Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our Twitch channel. I appreciate that very, very much. Mods, you guys are the best. Who are we rating, friends? Who's out there that's live right now? Let me take a look. Let's go raid. Let's go raid Olive. Tell Olive we said hello. We love you guys. Again, have a good weekend. Get outside and touch some grass. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you Monday morning. Remember.